You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1794 Chapter 402 Lived a Comfortable Life 5. The moment Suyu activated the heaven-cleaving blade, a blade light surrounded Suyu's body, but it did not erupt. At the same time, outside the Sea of Stars, Xia Longwu suddenly looked at the Sea of Stars. He was a little surprised. He was really bold. He really went to the Sea of Stars. Of course, he could feel where his blade aura was from the people he killed. The moment Suyu took out the corpse, he had already sensed it. After activating the heaven-cleaving saber, Xia Longwu could feel it even more clearly. Why are you using the corpse of a cultivator at the 8th level of the sun and moon? At this moment, even Xia Longwu was a little confused. Could you use it? The 8th level of the sun and moon was extremely powerful. This kid could fight mountains and seas and kill the sun and moon. He didn't need to care too much about that. Why are you using the corpse? Strange. He didn't bother about it anymore. This kid was extremely bold. He had underestimated him in the past and didn't bother about him anymore. Soon, he landed in a dilapidated city. It was very dilapidated. It wasn't in the UC Plains, nor was it an ancient city. It was a city that had been built for hundreds of years, but was about to be abandoned. He followed his senses and entered a huge hall in the blink of an eye. At this moment, there were two people in the hall. One was the Lu family's eldest uncle, and the other was Lu Wenyan, who was severely injured and suffered a severe backlash. Eldest Uncle Lu had not sensed the arrival of the person before and was instantly shocked. Very quickly, he looked at Xia Longwu and heaved a sigh of relief. Greetings, Manor Head Xia. Xia Longwu glanced at the old man and sighed. You're too polite. If it wasn't for an accident, you and I would already be in-laws. Huyu hasn't married yet. If the Lu family still has a descendant and is willing to marry the Xia family, Huyu can continue waiting. Uncle Lu said softly, forget it, don't delay the child. The Lu family's direct line of descent only has me and Wenyan now. Xia Longwu sighed and looked at him, somewhat surprised. Mr. Lu, has he recovered to the sun and moon? Uncle Lu smiled. It's all right. My physical injuries have almost recovered, but my Xia will still has some minor injuries. I'll wait for it to recover. Now, I've recovered to the 1st level of the sun and moon. At my peak, I'm at the 3rd level of the sun and moon. I'm still a little lacking. Xia Longwu said in surprise, your injuries were very serious in the past. Uncle Lu said with a smile, this. I have to say that Wenyan has good taste. Lu Wenyan said weakly, my uncle has recovered to the sun-moon realm. The cultivation technique and some heaven yuan qi that Suyu got might be related to the activation of the immortal race's vitality. Forget it. Whatever, I'm in big trouble. I self-detonated the divine runes and exploded 4 of them. My sea of consciousness is very turbulent. Oh. Xia Longwu said in surprise, have you recovered? I thought you were fine. Suyu also exploded 3 divine runes. Isn't he fine? Lu Wenyan wanted to cry but had no tears. Go to hell. Damn it. Are you comparing me to him? Alright, my sea of consciousness is stronger and more stable than his, but self-detonating a peak sun and moon divine runes is really very damaging. As for Suyu, F***ck, there's definitely something wrong with that brat's sea of consciousness. He actually ran away alive. According to Lu Wenyan's judgment, with the strength of Suyu's sea of consciousness, even if he reached the mountains and seas, he wouldn't be able to escape unless he lay down for a month. He had also seen Shadow and the others present. Seeing Yi Hongyan present, he had run away in advance, thinking that Suyu would run with them. In the end, Suyu had run away on his own. Not only did he run away, but according to Yi Hongyan's words, he was much more relaxed than him. Yi Hongyan saw Su Yu with his own eyes. He turned into a breeze and ran away. Yi Hongyan was his master's aunt. This time, he also came to Lu City to visit him. He despised him quite a bit and lost his master's face. Looking at Su Yu, after he self-detonated the divine inscriptions, not only did he run away, no one knew where he was. As for Lu Wenyan, he was so miserable that he ran back to Lu City. He had to rely on Invincible to save his life. He had been lying on the sickbed for the past few days. How pitiful. Xia Longwu was also surprised. He didn't think too much about it before. It wasn't that he didn't think too much about it. It was that he felt that Su Yu was fine, and Lu Wenyan shouldn't be. Now, facts proved that this guy was very miserable. Su Yu, that kid, was actually still thinking about the 8th layer Sun-Moon corpse. He even ran to the area of the Sea of Stars. That location might not be far from 9-Star Island. Comparing people really couldn't be compared. Lu Wenyan couldn't be bothered to say anything. What are you doing here? Be careful of being discovered. Leave early and go back to what you were doing. Xia Longwu smiled and said, "There's no rush. I'm here to see you. By the way, you've already broken through the 5th generation divine text battle technique. When will you be able to step into the Sun-Moon realm on your own?" Lu Wenyan calculated for a moment. Half a year. I still have 7 divine texts. I'll leave one behind, and the rest will be broken to cultivate. After half a year, I should be able to step into the Sun-Moon realm. Xia Longwu said in surprise, "I've figured it out." Do I really have to break through cultivation? I've figured it out. Lu Wenyan said calmly, "Master's divine runes were passed to me not to keep me trapped. I just need to leave one behind as a thought. After all, there are still many people waiting for me. Sigh, it's a bit late." Xia Longwu shook his head. It would have been better if he had done this earlier. Now, he could only step into the Sun-Moon realm after half a year. It was a bit late. Lu Wenyan said unhappily, "I've stepped into the Sun and Moon. With Master's divine symbol, I can almost unleash my full strength. I can at least fight against a single divine symbol faculty at the 9th level of the Sun and Moon. Even if I cultivate with all my strength, that's the most I can do. Is it still too late? You're asking too much. A single divine symbol faculty at the 9th level of the Sun and Moon." Xia Longwu shook his head. "You're not Zhou Polong. You're still far from it. You can fight with others, but you can't defeat Zhou Polong. Scram." This guy's requirements were really high. Lu Wenyan couldn't be bothered with him and asked, "Any news from Su Yu?" "No, I didn't follow him all the way." Xia Longwu quickly said, "But don't worry, he's better off than you. He just took out the body of the Tianyi celestial race that I killed in the Great Xia Manor. I don't know what he's planning to do, but he's very energetic. If he wasn't full of energy, he wouldn't have taken out the corpse." Xia Longwu once again looked at Lu Wenyan, who was lying on the ground. "Forget it, you should be worried about others. You should be worried about yourself. That kid is definitely doing better than you." Lu Wenyan was also helpless. F***ck. Comparing people was really infuriating. What was the situation with that kid Sea of Consciousness? He had dropped 3 divine runes, but he was still fine. He had no choice but to admit defeat. This included the fact that his master's divine runes had been forcefully subdued by him. This was also very terrifying. Xia Longwu did not say anything else. He quickly said, "Rest assured and recuperate. I'll go take care of some things." "Half a year, right? We'll talk about it in half a year. I'll wait for you." "All right." Xia Longwu disappeared in an instant. Uncle Lu did not even sense how he disappeared. He sighed emotionally, the #1 expert under invincibility. My master is. Uncle Lu was speechless. Fine, you're the boss. He even protected his nephew. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1795. 1795 Chapter 403, 9 Changes of Primordial Qi, Floating Earth into Water 1. In the sea of stars, qi and blood shook. The qi and blood of a celestial at the 8th level of the Sun-Moon realm was extremely powerful. However, there was one good thing. Xia Longwu's saber qi had suppressed the qi and blood turbulence. Otherwise, Suyu might not have been able to successfully extract it. How terrifying. Manor Head Xia is also terrifying. Suyu sighed with emotion. Just how strong was Xia Longwu? The 8th layer of the Sun-Moon realm. It felt as if he had been killed by his saber. Suyu observed the fatal wound on the other party's neck. His head had almost been cut off, but after he died, the other party's injury had healed. It had not healed because of the saber qi. Otherwise, even if he died, the other party's corpse would have healed. This was the sun and moon. No, this was the top-tier sun and moon, the 8th level of the sun and moon, a god-devil expert. The sun and moon could be reborn with a drop of blood. The prerequisite was that the essence, energy, and spirit were still there, and the sea of will was still there. Otherwise, being reborn with a drop of blood would be a joke. Xia Longwu's saber qi directly shattered the other party's sea of will and destroyed the other party's vitality. Suyu carefully used the highest-grade jade bottle to contain the extracted essence blood. Each drop of essence blood was placed separately. He also used the Yin-word divine script to create a barrier so that his aura would not leak out. He extracted it bit by bit. Soon, he extracted 9 drops of essence blood. The pressure on this corpse was much smaller, but there was a problem, saber qi. Suyu had to get rid of the saber qi. Otherwise, it would be very troublesome. With just one look, he knew that he had died at the hands of the heaven-cleaving blade. Could it be an ancient heaven-cleaving blade expert? Nonsense. The saber qi is too strong. Suyu was helpless. He had to absorb it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to disguise himself. Suyu hesitated for a moment. He had cultivated the heaven-cleaving blade, and it was still quite deep. Could he absorb Xia Longwu's heaven-cleaving blade qi? Let's try it. I've also absorbed a bit of the great Xia Emperor's blade aura before. Suyu tried it out. He activated the heaven-splitting blade technique and carefully absorbed a little bit of blade aura. With a PFFT, blood appeared on his body. The blade aura exploded and his internal organs collided. The 144 openings of Suyu's heaven-splitting blade crazily absorbed the blade aura and suppressed it. Suyu shouted in a low voice, and his blood boiled. Saber qi is sharpening my body. It's a good choice to use it to forge a body. Along the way, I can strengthen my heaven-cleaving saber. Suyu absorbed and digested it. It was just a little saber qi. He spent more than 10 minutes to barely finish off this strand of saber qi. Looking at the saber qi still contained on the god clan's corpse, Suyu was both happy and helpless. The happy thing was that he seemed to be able to continue refining and absorbing it. Helplessly, he discovered that if Xia Longwu was in front of him, a wisp of saber qi would be able to kill him easily. Damn! The gap between them was terrifying. It was a long time ago. Alright, it was more than a year ago. The saber qi had already destroyed an 8th level Sun-Moon cultivator. Now, it was only a remnant, but it was actually so powerful. Was Mansion Master Xia really at the 9th level Sun-Moon? Suyu even suspected it. Was the 9th level Sun-Moon realm that powerful? He had learned a lot. Just this wisp of saber chi had nearly shattered his physical body that had the strength of 30,000 acupuncture points. How powerful was that full-powered slash? He did not dare to imagine it. In any case, it was not something Su Yu could imagine. Slowly absorbing, slowly digesting, strengthening himself and strengthening his physical body. Gradually, Su Yu's expression turned somewhat odd. At that moment, the Yuan Qi in his 144 apertures had suddenly turned into the shape of a saber. What is this? How could Yuan Qi have a shape? Su Yu's expression was extremely odd. This thing was like a seed. Su Yu controlled it slightly and instantly, he slashed out with his saber. In front of him, the seawater that was under immense pressure was directly cleaved apart by him, creating a crack. Oh! Su Yu was surprised. What was going on? It seemed to have become much stronger. He observed his acupuncture points again. Indeed, the Yuan Qi in the 144 acupuncture points had turned into a saber form. Su Yu thought of something and quickly took out a book. This was the heaven-cleaving saber art that Lord Xiaoho had given him back then. And this heaven-cleaving saber was personally written by Xiaolongwu. Su Yu had read it a few times, but he did not see any mention of a blade formed from vital qi. What the hell? Su Yu quickly opened the booklet and took a look. His vision blurred, and at that moment, he actually entered the state of comprehending the text of will once again. One had to know that he had obtained this booklet a long time ago. Logically speaking, it was about to dissipate. Also, as his strength improved, the weak text of will booklet was actually unable to let him enter this state. Ling Yun. Just as Su Yu entered the album, Xia Longwu's figure appeared in front of him. This was a projection of his will, not a real person. Saber Qi in form, stepping into Ling Yun, 9 changes in vital Qi. Su Yu was extremely surprised. This was the second level of the cultivation technique. No, this was the 9 changes technique of the Ling Yun realm. Su Yu thought that the Xia family did not teach him the body forging technique because the heaven-splitting blade did not teach him. However, that was not the case now. Perhaps it was the body forging technique. The Xia family felt that they were not strong and did not want to teach him at all. However, the Xia family actually hid the 9 transformations of primordial qi in this cultivation technique. Su Yu was actually judged to have stepped into Ling Yun at this moment. His primordial qi had mutated. In fact, it was very normal. Su Yu's physical body had long surpassed that of an ordinary person. No, even a god or demon's physical body was not as strong as his. However, Su Yu had never considered the matter of his 9 transformations of primordial qi because Su Yu himself felt that he was still far from reaching the 9 changes in Yuan Qi. And in fact, his physical body, which was about to be cast at 28, was much stronger than other people's 36 changes in Yuan Qi. In addition, he had absorbed a little of Xiao Longwu's saber qi this time. It actually caused some changes in Yuan Qi in his 144 Yuan apertures. This was the embryonic form of the 9 changes in Yuan Qi. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1796. 1796 Chapter 403, 9 Changes of Vitality, Floating Earth into Water 2. Su Yu's eyes lit up. So, I can advance the 9 changes of vitality. At this moment, Xia Longwu, who had just left Lu City, was stunned for a moment. He looked at the sea of stars again. What the hell? He stepped into Ling Yun. His physical body entered Ling Yun. How could it be that fast? Su Yu, that brat, should have at least cast his physical body at 36. How long had it been? Not to mention his willpower, it was normal for him to progress faster. After all, Su Yu had opened a lot of god apertures, which could save him a lot of time. However, his physical body really needed to be cast bit by bit. Su Yu's physical body was also strong, so casting it was even slower. Even if he had been using the God and Devil blood essence, he had stepped into the sky in February, and it was only the end of July. It had only been 5 months, and he had completed casting all of it. Xia Longwu frowned slightly. Even if he was extremely talented and had unlimited resources, he would only be able to complete the forging once every 10 days, once every 5 months, once every 150 days, and finally, he would be able to complete the body forging once every 15 days. What nonsense! Could it be that the reward for killing the sun and moon last time was so great that it caused the body forging to be completed ahead of time? It's a 36-point forging technique, right? He wasn't too sure. If it was a 36-point forging technique, it was possible. But it wasn't too possible either. Could it be that this fellow only had a body of 27 forging techniques? Even Xia Longwu couldn't figure it out. After a moment, he suddenly thought of something. This fellow, could it be that he had absorbed his saber qi, causing his yuan qi to advance to the 9 transformations realm? There was a possibility as well. After all, he had just taken out the corpse, but this fellow had taken out the corpse just to absorb his saber qi. Was he insane? He knew how strong his saber qi was. A moment of carelessness would result in the destruction of his body. Although they are both heaven-cleaving blades, my heaven-cleaving blades aren't something you can compare to. Xia Longwu was also a little confused by Su Yu. Was there something wrong with this kid's brain? In order to be powerful, he no longer cared about his life. He dared to absorb anything. Forget it, he did not care about him. He still had many things to do. This kid had to pray for his own good. If he could live, he would live. If he was supported by someone, he would not be able to walk far. Xia Longwu did not care anymore. As for Su Yu, he did not think too much. At this moment, he had already seen the Xia family's 9 transformations of opening the heavens. The so-called 9 transformations of vital qi was to mutate and increase one's vital qi when one's physical body was sufficiently powerful and one's acupuncture points were sufficiently powerful. Every time one's vitality mutated, it would make one's vitality stronger and more powerful. With the same amount, the original vitality damage would be 1. After 1 mutation, it might reach 1. It might reach 1. 2, or it might reach 1. 5. Under normal circumstances, an increase of 10% after 1 mutation was considered normal. Of course, there were also trash. For example, 36 openings and 9 times casting of the physical body, and it was done using the most trashy cultivation technique and blood essence. It was not strange for such a fellow to mutate once and gain an increase of 5% after stepping into Ling Yun. Su Yu could not be bothered to calculate how strong Ling Yun was, because he could not be considered strong. Even if he did not want to, Su Yu still did some calculations. If a cultivator with 36 openings had 4 apertures combined into 1, then he would be at the 9th level of the 10,000 stone realm, F*ck, his strength would only be around 50 to 60 apertures, and he would be at the 9th level of the soaring heaven realm, if he had 9 apertures, F*ck, he would only be around 120 at most. Of course, there were other things that could be added to the sky. He could be counted as having 150 apertures of strength. If it was Ling Yun's 9 transformations, he could only increase it by 5% at a time. After 9 transformations, it would be too horrible to look at. More than 200 apertures of strength. Su Yu bared his teeth. He was thinking. Was there really such a weak 9th level Ling Yun among the 10,000 races? Stop fooling around. Of course, it wasn't just that much. A breakthrough in a major realm would have some additional effects. Su Yu didn't feel the strengthening of his physical body because he was too strong. However, if there was such a 9th level Ling Yun, it would only have the strength of 3 to 500 apertures. In theory, such a ninth-level Ling Yun still existed. Of course, Suyu felt that the possibility was not high. To be able to cultivate the most trashy cultivation technique in any realm and still be able to enter the ninth level of Ling Yun, he was a god. If you were able to enter the ninth level of Ling Yun and it was still the trashy cultivation technique, then it meant that your aptitude was actually passable. If it was passable, wouldn't you switch to cultivation techniques? My father is already beginning to open his openings. His body forging technique is also changing. Otherwise, my father would be a fighter with 36 openings. If I really cultivate the trashy cultivation technique all the way to the ninth level of Ling Yun, with the strength of 300 to 500 openings, I would be able to kill him with a single finger. In the myriad realms, there shouldn't be such a god, right? Suyu suspected that, for example, humans had 36 openings. However, if they were able to break through in the later stages, even if it was difficult, they would open a few more openings or choose a cultivation technique with 18 openings. In short, he had never seen a ninth-level Ling Yun with a few hundred apertures. He did not think about this anymore. He must not kill such a godly person. He would wait and admire him. At this moment, Suyu was thinking about the Xia family's 9 transformations of heaven opening. 9 transformations of vitality usually required some assistance. For example, the fruit of the dragon blood ancient tree or other similar treasures to assist in the transformation of vitality. 9 transformations of vitality was actually a process of incubation and regeneration. For example, Suyu. This time, he used Xia Longwu's saber qi as a supplementary object to incubate his 144 apertures. He had not regenerated yet. The saber-type Yuan Qi in his 144 apertures was considered a seed. Once the incubation was successful, it would shatter again and return to its original Yuan Qi form. However, the quality would be greatly improved. Every time the vitality transformed, the genius would use an extremely powerful foundational object to hatch. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1797. 1797 Chapter 403, 9 Changes of Primordial Qi, Floating Earth into Water 3. And this time, Suyu unintentionally used Xia Longwu's saber qi as a foundation item. This wasn't something that anyone could use. For example, when Xia Huyo reached the first level of Ling Yun, he dared to absorb Xia Longwu's saber qi. He probably hadn't even absorbed it before his physical body was destroyed by the saber qi. Suyu's physical body was comparable to the third level of the mountain and sea realm. They weren't of the same origin, so the saber qi didn't harm him at all. In fact, because they were of the same origin, it had already weakened a lot. Otherwise, even Suyu's sun and moon body wouldn't be able to withstand it. This means that Mansion Master Xia's saber qi has been used by me as the foundation of the first change. Suyu muttered, "This is very strong, right?" He felt that it was very strong. Xia Longwu was such a powerful figure, yet his saber qi had allowed him to reach the foundation of the first change. Was this not strong enough? After this transformation, would his 144 apertures be able to erupt with immense power? How much of a transformation can I achieve? Suyu was unsure. The key point. F***ck. I have 360 apertures. This is my first transformation, and I've already transformed into 144 apertures. What should I do? Also, I've completed my transformation. Can I be counted as Ling Yun's first physical body, or can I be counted as a soaring physical body? Suyu's head was about to explode. It felt like his strength would become stronger, but it might cause his strength to go out of control and his acupuncture points to lose balance. This was very troublesome, unless his other acupuncture points underwent a transformation as well. The key is that the first transformation of my 144 acupuncture points is to use Mansion Master Xia's saber qi as the foundation. When my other acupuncture points undergo a transformation, I'll have to find a similar level of strength or treasure to undergo a transformation so that my strength won't lose balance. Suyu wanted to vomit blood. F***ck. In other words, if I want to transform the other apertures, I have to find a power level similar to Xia Longwu's to absorb it, or that kind of treasure to absorb it. Xia Longwu can be considered quasi-invincible, right? Then, if I want to open the Celestial's apertures to transform, I have to absorb the quasi-invincible power of the Celestial. If I want to open the Demon's apertures, I have to absorb the quasi-invincible power of the Demon race. He had 360 apertures and almost all of the large clan systems were present. Wouldn't that mean that he had to absorb their strength to complete the transformation? Stop fooling around. Of course, if Suyu wanted to balance his strength, he could actually do one more thing, give up on the Yuan Qi transformation now. It did not mean that he had to continue. But could he give up? He was unwilling. What a powerful feeling. As a genius, how could I be considered a genius if I did not cultivate the most powerful cultivation technique, cast the most body, and transform the strongest Yuan Qi? Forget it, forget it. Let's wait and see. Suyu was not in a hurry. The transformation had not even been completed. If it was really completed, there would be a way to remedy it. He would look at the situation and see how much the strength of the 144 apertures had increased after the transformation. If the increase was not much, then there was no need to worry about whether or not he should use this level of strength to help him transform. Suyu did not bother about it anymore and continued to absorb Xia Longwu's saber qi. Within the 144 yuan apertures, the saber-type yuan qi was even stronger. Absorb, absorb again. Time and time again, it was as if he had broken out of the cocoon and was reborn. This meant that once the yuan qi changed, it could be completed at any time. Suyu was also puzzled. He had yet to complete the body casting, and yet you gave him the 9 changes of Yuan Qi. So be it, he could only change the Yuan Qi in 144 of his Yuan apertures. Wasn't this torturing him? Also, did this mean that he could complete the body casting while completing the 9 changes of Yuan Qi? With that, once he completed the 9 changes of Yuan Qi at the end of the body casting, he would be at the 9th level of Lingyun? Then, he would have to wait for the mountain and sea acupoint fusion. Suyu fell into deep thought. That was probably the case. In that case, he could actually soar into the sky and cultivate with Lingyun instead of using the number of times he had cast his body to determine his realm. The key point. I have to transform all of my 360 acupoints. Otherwise, 144 of them would be strong and the rest would be weak. Not to mention the imbalance in strength, it would be almost impossible for me to fuse all of my acupoints. Even now, it was still a little troublesome. Because when he was in the air, he actually had 40 apertures and strength merged into one. He only had 9 apertures now, and each of them contained 40 apertures. And the 144 apertures were actually not evenly distributed among the 9 apertures. At this moment, because some of the apertures contained a lot of sky-splitting blade apertures and were on the strong side, Suyu felt a little out of balance. I'm only here to transform a corpse. Suyu was very helpless. He felt like he had gotten a bargain. There was nothing he could do. Geniuses were like that. Often, opportunities would come knocking on his door. He really did not plan on having his Yuan Qi mutate. Now. It was beginning to change. Can this be blamed on me? All he could say was that his talent was too powerful. There was really nothing he could do. He spent a lot of time to absorb the saber qi. As for Suyu's 144 apertures, they were all much stronger now. Before they completely transformed and hatched, they gave Suyu a feeling that the strength of these 144 apertures was at least 10% stronger than before. This was not a transformation. Of course, only these apertures were powerful. And these apertures had gone through 27 times of body forging. In fact, Su Yu's strength still had some improvement. This was equivalent to these 144 apertures completing 28 times of body forging ahead of time. Su Yu did not bother about it anymore. He did not care if it was a little stronger. He began to reverse the yuan aperture. The next moment, the aura of death was heavy. Su Yu quickly began to corrode the corpse. There was still some blood essence in the corpse, and the corpse was very powerful. The aura of death corroded. Su Yu actually could not corrode much in a short period of time. He had also used all his strength to corrode the body bit by bit, especially the face. It would be best if the entire face could not be seen. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1798. 1798 Chapter 4039 Transformations of Primordial Qi, Floating Earth Entering Water 4. Lest the people of the Tianyi celestial race recognize it. The aura of death began to permeate the entire corpse. At the same time that Su Yu used the aura of death to permeate the entire corpse. At the depths of the sea. A deathly silent ancient city was located at the deepest part of the sea. In fact, it wasn't far from Su Yu, but it was too deep. Su Yu couldn't detect it. At this moment, in the dead ancient city, a stone sculpture suddenly opened its eyes. It suddenly raised its head and looked at the sky. In the next moment, the sun and moon rotated in its eyes, and space changed. Undead. It murmured. This was a stone sculpture that looked like a sea lion. The stone sculpture looked at the sky and was a bit stunned. Did the undead run out? What a strange thing. It had intelligence. No, it was very intelligent. Where did this 8th level sun-moon corpse come from to corrode? What was it doing? The undead spirit could not leave the ancient city. How did it get out? The stone statue was a little sluggish. Perhaps it had not been awake for many years and had not opened its eyes to see the world. For a moment, it was in a daze. In the next moment, the stone statue's eyes turned cold. Undead spirit. In its eyes, a divine light flashed. It was about to burst out with power to kill this undead spirit. Right at this moment, Su Yu's divine text with the word calamity started to throb. It was a bit strange and frightened. What was going on? At the same time. In his heart, that little person instantly woke up. Holy shit. What the hell? The little person roughly figured out what was going on. He cursed in his heart and quickly broke through the time void. He walked out of his heart and stepped into the air. Under the circumstances where Su Yu didn't see him at all, he stepped into the bottom of the sea. In the next moment, it appeared at the entrance of the ancient city. The stone statue instantly looked at it. He's not a dead spirit. The IMP said. The stone statue looked at him and then at the sky. The sun and moon revolved in its eyes, and time flowed backward. In the blink of an eye, the scene of Su Yu reversing his origin aperture and turning into a dead spirit appeared in its eyes. Looking at the imp again, the stone statue's voice was somewhat mysterious as it slowly said, I can feel the scent of heaven destruction and the clouds. Yes, I just left from their side. He is a living person. The stone sculpture murmured and then looked at the little man. He said with a strange tone, your descendant. No, I picked him up on the road. The stone sculpture widened his eyes. You picked up such a person on the road? How many years had passed? Could it be that all the people outside were like this now? How magical. I've opened the heavenly cycle acupuncture point, opened the 5 elements divine art. I seem to have learned the ancient casting method of the Iron Eater clan. Is it all like this now? The stone sculpture hadn't woken up for too many years. It couldn't be helped. This ancient city had sunk since the ancient times. For countless years, the stone sculpture hadn't woken up. Even if Invincible had discovered him, he wouldn't have taken the initiative to chat with him. He would just sweep through these ancient cities. If there was nothing to do, don't go in. Going in would be useless. The stone statue was puzzled. Nowadays, the world had changed. Were the outside world all such geniuses? There weren't many who had opened the heavenly cycle acupuncture points in the ancient times. Otherwise, Emperor Gu wouldn't have congratulated him. This was a treatment that only peerless geniuses received. The small figure was also puzzled. How long have you been asleep? How long? The stone statue was in a daze for a moment. The sun and moon revolved in his eyes. Time flew by. After a long while, he muttered, "How long? Too long. The last time I met with Heavenly Destruction and the others, it's been 8,000 tide flows, right?" He didn't remember too clearly, but he did some calculations. He didn't know how long it had been since he slept, but he had a vague impression that more than 8,000 tides had passed. Perhaps, more than 9,000. Who could remember so clearly? The next tide is coming. He looked at the top of the ocean, and the little man quickly came to his senses. A tide is coming, you're saying that the Starry Manor is about to open, that's a long time, 80,000 to 90,000 years. A tide meant that the Starry Palace would open once every 10 years, which was 80,000 to 90,000 years. Indeed, it was astonishingly long. This was also the first time that the little man knew that the ancient city had existed for so long. No, the ancient city might have existed even longer. This person in front of him was talking about the last time they met. Perhaps the ancient city had already existed before they met. He still wanted to ask a few more questions. The stone sculpture said softly, "I'm going to go into a deep sleep." That human up there. Don't change the aura of death. The aura of death is too dense and is still weak. Once he becomes stronger, he might open a channel of the undead. Without the suppression of the holy city, he will be targeted by the undead race. After saying this, the stone sculpture closed his eyes again and fell into a deep sleep. He was in a daze, so he should continue sleeping. Seeing that he was in a deep sleep again, the small being was helpless and could only return on air. Returning to his original position, the small person was helpless. Suyu had already brought the corpse with him. He did not know how far he had run. In fact, he had only communicated with the stone sculpture in an instant. He ran really fast. When this fellow encountered danger, his senses were extremely sharp. In just a short while, he had already run a few hundred miles. Fortunately, he was originally rooted in his heart, so he could sense his aura. A moment later, the little man broke through the space. He encountered Suyu, who had turned into a stream of water. Silently, he entered his heart again and lay low. As for Suyu, he knew nothing at that moment. He was running very fast. The calamity word divine script was beating very fast just now. A great disaster was about to befall him. Run! His speed was very fast. After running for several hundred li, Suyu turned into his human form and panted heavily. Damn, what happened just now? He felt that the danger was terrifying. His heart had stopped beating. It was too terrifying. It was so terrifying that his calamity word divine script almost shattered. Invincible? Suyu's heart palpitated. This was absolutely invincible. Was there an invincible staring at him just now? And he even wanted to make a move against him. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1799. 1799 Chapter 403, 9 Transformations of Vitality, Floating Earth into Water 5. It was not a big problem to just stare at them. He had even met 3 unrivaled beings before. If there were no malicious words, the Calamity Divine text did not dance much. It was obvious that they wanted to kill him. Damn! Who wanted to kill me? The unrivaled beings of the enemy race. Then why did they not kill him? Don't say that I'm running fast. Are you kidding me? No matter how fast I am, I'm faster than invincible. In front of the sun and moon, he could still hide for a while. In front of invincible, it didn't matter whether he turned invisible, changed his identity, or hid his aura, it was all useless. Invincible could see through him directly. Of course, the prerequisite was that the other party would detect him. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to see through him. Obviously, the invincible from before probably saw through him and even looked deeply into him. Which one did I meet? Suyu wanted to cry. Even though he wasn't dead, he seemed to have been targeted by invincible. Speaking of which, it was difficult for others to meet an invincible, perhaps not even once in their entire lives. Suyu had already met quite a few of them. Putting everything else aside, he had met the 3 humans before. When he had just arrived at the heavenly battlefield, the great Qin King might have seen him before. In fact, he had also met the great Xia King, the great Ming King, the big hairy ball, and a few stone sculptures. Suyu had met more than 10 invincible people before and after. Suyu waited for a while, but the calamity word stopped jumping. Suyu sighed. Forget it, there was no way he could escape. Even if he was targeted, there was nothing he could do. It might have been lured by the sun and moon corpse. After all, it was a corpse at the 8th level of the sun and moon, and its aura was still very powerful. At this moment, the corpse was in his storage ring. Its face, which had been corroded by the aura of death, was somewhat rotten. There were also some black spots on its body. This one wasn't old enough. Suyu hadn't finished completely processing it, but it didn't matter. He would just need to make it a little later. After he was done, he would find a manure pit and bury it for a few days. An ancient corpse should have more or less a smelly smell. He just didn't know if there was a manure pit here. The probability was high, so he could find a mud pit. He had no respect for the sun and moon of the celestial race. The corpses were almost done. The ancient weapons, divine runes, clothes, they were almost done. Then, it would be best to find an ancient space that was about to collapse. Then, he would lure some people to explore with him. It would be best to pretend to be someone. I have to go to 9-Star Island and catch a genius. I heard that Tendo is here, and the little golden dragon is also here. I'll catch one of these too. The dragon world is too close to this place. It's best to catch Tendo. Actually, catching a floating earth spirit was also fine, but he had never heard of that fellow coming here. That fellow was also a native, so there was a high chance that he didn't come. After all, this place was an ocean. Suyu didn't think too much. He went to catch a genius first. If he didn't catch one, it would be difficult for him to escape. If he caught one, he couldn't kill him. If he killed him, he would lose his name. That would be troublesome. If an invincible descendant was killed directly, it would also attract Invincible's attention. Just as Suyu was thinking about this. 9-Star Island. A small mountain suddenly shrank. In the mountain, some of the experts who were exploring were shocked. Before they could say anything, golden light flashed and was incomparably sharp. Rays of golden light pierced through their bodies. In the next moment, the small mountain shrank and turned into an earth spirit. The floating earth spirit killed many people, and clouds fell from the sky. Suddenly, it became somewhat vigilant and looked around. It didn't look too safe. Who wants to cause trouble for me? 5 levels appeared on the floating earth spirit's face. It was a bit strange. I'm here, it's very secretive. Am I being targeted by someone? It feels like there's a small crisis. Forget it, hurry up and change places. Everyone knows that I'm an earth spirit. If they want to capture me and deal with me, they have to do it on the ground. I'll go play in the water instead of on the ground. You guys wouldn't think that an earth spirit like me would go play in the water, right? As for Madonna's previous wild guesses, let him guess. I won't admit it anyway. I'm an earth spirit. If I go into the water, I won't meet anyone who wants to deal with me, right? With some consolation, the floating earth spirit quickly flew towards the sea. It no longer stayed on the shore. Recently, the water had also benefited. It was fine to pick up a 5 elements fruit tree for me. I also wanted to undergo some vitality transformation. That ancient dragon blood tree was discovered too early. That fellow actually wanted to sell it even after picking it up. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't sell it. What a valuable item. Speaking of which, I'll sell it even if you give me more money. It's too cheap. The experts of small clans are truly pitiful. If it were me, no one would dare to force me like this. My 5 Elements clan is also a powerful clan. There are also unrivaled experts in our clan. Not just 1 or 2 of them, but there are also more than 10 of them who are one of the 5 elements. Of course, currently, the 5 elements aren't one. Even so, the floating earth spirit still has some confidence. Look, the last time I was trapped in the ancient city, there was an invincible patriarch coming to rescue me. This wasn't a treatment that an ordinary invincible descendant could receive. Tendo was an expert of the incipient demon race, yet he hadn't received any help from the invincible patriarch, he had only taken the light from Madwa. With the previous incident as a foundation, the experts of the various great clans didn't dare to force themselves too much. Of course, if they were killed by a genius of the same level, then there was nothing they could do. A genius who was killed by a genius wasn't a genius, and the 5 Elements race wouldn't waste too much resources and energy on him. If he couldn't even defeat a genius of the same level, who else could he fight? He could only hope that he could revive the 5 Elements clan in his next life. The floating earth spirit no longer thought about it and quickly ran to the beach. In the next moment, he transformed into a water native and disappeared into the water. I'll run. On the shore, it's dangerous. Perhaps my old nemesis, the stone golem, is here. That fellow is very strong on the shore. Once he's in the water, I won't be able to kill him. P.S. Push a book, Cultivation of the Farming System, 2nd place on the contract signing list. Everyone, give me some collection and a card. Thank you, old friend, for the new book. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1800. 1800 Chapter 404 I Have My Eyes on You. 1. In the Sea of Stars, Suyu began to move towards 9-Star Island. The sea roared. The closer he got to 9-Star Island, the more he discovered that the vitality was dense and the blood chi was dense. It was obvious that there had been a lot of battles and killing recently. Suyu had just traveled for a while when there were continuous explosions in front of him. Looking closely, he saw that 2 Lingyun realm experts were fighting. Sensing Suyu's existence, the devil and the dragon quickly looked at Suyu. That's right, the devil race and the dragon race fellows. In the sky, devil chi overflowed into the sky, and huge dragons floated in the air. The devil race had been fighting with the dragon race recently, and the experts hadn't started fighting. However, there were frequent battles below, mainly because the ancient dragon blood tree had been taken away by the primogenitor devil race. Now, they were extorting the dragon race and offering a sky-high price. How dare you hide in this place and ambush us? The dragon and the demon might have been fighting for a long time, but no victor had been decided. Now that Suyu had arrived, they charged at him without hesitation. Suyu was speechless. Who the hell ambushed you guys? Seriously. What the hell? Seeing that I'm at 2nd level Lingyun, is it easier to bully? When the dragon and the demon flew over, Suyu didn't stand on ceremony. Since they were here, I'll be responsible for sending you guys to heaven. It just so happened that I had not used the heaven-cleaving blade after it was strengthened. It's just the two of you. A blade appeared in his hand as Su Yu's yuan qi rapidly gathered. In the 144 apertures that were undergoing transformation, blade-type yuan qi instantly surged into the long blade. Heaven-cleaving. A low shout. The dragon and demon were greatly alarmed. People from the Great Xia Manor. Huang Teng. That was not right. Huang Teng was not here. Wasn't he being pursued by the blood-fire demon race? Thoughts flashed past their minds. In the next moment, a flash of blade light flashed past their eyes. Pfft. The dragons saw the severed heads of the demons, and the demons also saw the severed bodies of the dragons spewing blood. With a single slash, the two powerful clans, Ling Yun, were killed in a single slash. Su Yu was also a little surprised by the strength of this slash. He had only used his physical strength. Well, his physical strength was comparable to the mountains and seas, and with the heaven-grade heaven-cleaving blade, it was normal for him to kill the two Ling Yun realm cultivators with a single slash. He quickly collected the corpses, cleaned up the battlefield, and burned their auras. Su Yu quickly disappeared on the spot. After killing the two powerful Ling Yun clans, it was better to run as soon as possible, lest he was targeted. Su Yu continued to fly in the direction of 9-Star Island. After killing the two fellows, he quickly extracted the blood essence and burned the corpses. He did not plan to stay in the sea area any longer. He was even planning to go to 9-Star Island to inquire about the whereabouts of Tendo and the little golden dragon. He kept activating the Silence Divine script to reduce the attention of others. Su Yu continued to transform into the mountain-breaking ox as he slowly flew on the surface of the sea. Maintain a low profile. The mountain-breaking ox clan was the best. They barely reached the standard of the top 100 clans. They had an invincible clan leader. However, the overall strength of the clan wasn't too strong. Such a clan wouldn't be underestimated nor feared by others. While flying, Su Yu was surprised. Another Ling Yun had set his eyes on him. Was he courting death? That Ling Yun, who had been lurking under the water and following him, was a demon in the water. He hadn't really sensed it yet. At the same time, at the bottom of the sea, the water rippled. The floating earth spirit looked up. The mountain-breaking bull. This clan was very good. The blood essence of the mountain-breaking bull clan wasn't low in value. Be it the body forging or foundation establishment, the blood essence of this race was of an extremely high value. It was just that its strength was a little weak. Ling Yun's second level. I'll just kill it along the way. The floating earth spirit also sensed for a moment. The danger was not great, but it felt quite safe. However, there was a slightly familiar feeling. I've seen this bull before. The floating earth spirit didn't really remember. As an expert of the Five Elements clan, the Five Elements clan had some special abilities. Su Yu had seen it before. When the water people were ambushing him in the Myriad Clan sect, they had discovered the flaws in the other party's identity. The method was also very simple. The Water People clan was very sensitive to the moisture in the human body. If he had just seen it, observed it, and then saw the other party, he would be able to roughly judge the other party no matter how the other party changed. The floating earth spirit had seen Su Yu before. However, it had been a little too long, and there had been a lot of killings recently. How could he still remember who was with whom? In essence, he was still an earth spirit, not a water spirit. He only felt that he might have met this mountain ox before. Eat some beef to nourish my body. The floating earth spirit swam toward the surface of the water. There was a very strange phenomenon in the Myriad Heavens battlefield. Su Yu knew from the first day he entered that geniuses were very easy to meet on the battlefield. Sometimes, two geniuses might be separated by tens of thousands of miles. In the end, he casually stepped on a teleportation formation and was teleported together. At this moment, the theory of geniuses meeting was clearly put into play. Not long after the floating earth spirit left the island, he met Suyu. The floating earth spirit was prepared to have a meal and eat a roast beef. As for Suyu, he was also a little surprised. Ling Yun followed him, and then he realized that his calamity divine script was slightly pulsating. This meant that there was a certain level of danger. What kind of joke was this? The current Suyu might not be able to kill Ling Yun like a dog, but Ling Yun would usually find it difficult to create a crisis for him. What did this mean? The genius Ling Yun. That was possible. A top-notch Ling Yun was still very powerful. At this moment, both parties had discovered each other. Suyu was puzzled. Who had they met? The floating earth spirit was thinking about how to eat the beef later. Would it be roasted or boiled? Both sides had their own thoughts. Gradually, Suyu flew toward the empty space and deviated a little from the direction of 9-Star Island. The floating earth spirit was also happy. After a moment, there was no one around. Suyu remained calm. That fellow was getting closer and closer to him. He was so arrogant that he was actually only about 100 meters away from him. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1801. 1801 Chapter 404, I Have My Eyes on You. 2. To a powerhouse, this wasn't even considered distance. It was practically stuck together. It was in the sea below him. At this moment, an abnormal wave rippled, and a huge wave crashed. In this wave, a special water current also followed the wave and slapped towards Suyu. Water Spirit Clan. Suyu was surprised. He met the Water People Clan. He was indeed a little surprised. The Five Elements Clan was very rare. At the very least, he had not seen many of them. Up until now, he had only met one floating earth spirit. At this moment, he actually met a Water Spirit Clan. No wonder he felt that the other party's hidden ability was very strong. Water was the territory of the Water People Clan. The Water People Clan was more suitable to live in water than the Dragon Clan. 7th level of Lingyun. Suyu made a judgment in his heart. Without saying anything, he threw a punch. Boom! An earth-shattering sound was heard. Suyu's body trembled as he stepped on the surface of the water. The surface of the water exploded and he took a few steps back. He was shocked. So strong. His physical strength was comparable to the mountains and seas. He actually didn't manage to kill his opponent with a punch and was even forced back a few steps by his opponent. At the same time, the floating earth spirit was also shocked. What the hell? So strong. This was 2nd level Ling Yun. Nonsense, this was more or less 2nd level of the mountains and seas. However, he was a genius, and it wasn't impossible for him to go against the mountains and seas. However, this wasn't the point. If he really encountered a 2nd level of the mountains and seas, he wouldn't feel any pressure to fight. It wasn't as if he had never fought before, so he wasn't afraid. However, what he was afraid of was that his opponent was really 2nd level Ling Yun. This was the truly terrifying part. The power of mountains and seas unleashed by a 2nd level Ling Yun was a completely different concept from the power of mountains and seas unleashed by a 2nd level mountain and sea. Countless thoughts flashed through the floating earth spirit's mind. 2nd level Ling Yun. Who was a 2nd level Ling Yun capable of going against the mountains and seas? A few names faintly appeared. Without saying a word, they instantly turned into water and escaped into the water. He wasn't at a disadvantage, but it would be best for him not to fight with that fellow. Where in the world did such a genius come from in the mountain-shattering Bull clan? Nonsense. There was a problem. Run. He suddenly thought of a person. It was a real person. He cursed inwardly. F***ck, could it be that he had met that fellow? That fellow was good at disguising himself. On the other hand, Suyu was also surprised and shocked to see that the other party had turned into water, and the color of the water was slightly earthy. Suyu was shocked, and he suddenly thought of something. Have I seen the other party before? The heck? This wasn't a pure water spirit. As if recalling something, he swiftly turned into water and dived into the sea. At this moment, two streams of water shot through the water like sharp swords. The heck? It's really him. The floating earth spirit and the others who had sensed the other party turning into water felt their heads exploding. It was really him. Suyu. Damn it. He felt that the shore was in danger. He had just stepped into the water, and yet, he had already run into Suyu. Many people were looking for him, so how did he end up running into this fellow? Behind him, Suyu's heart trembled. Floating earth spirit. Damn it, I recognized it. It's actually a floating earth spirit. This fellow can actually turn into water. That's not the main point. The main point is that this fellow is very powerful. My attack from the mountain and sea realm 2 Dan wasn't able to injure the other party, and he was even knocked back by the other party. The point is that Suyu thought that the other party hadn't arrived yet, so he wanted to look for him. Also, his identity might have been discovered by this fellow. Suyu didn't dare to delay. Although the sound transmission talisman here was somewhat blocked, making it difficult to transmit messages, once this fellow shouted or exploded, it would be very easy for him to attract powerful experts. F***ck. This was simply an unexpected encounter. Suyu wasn't prepared for everything. He thought that it was just an ordinary genius, but in the end, it wasn't. Furthermore, the floating earth spirit was too decisive and ran away without saying a word. Suyu swallowed a drop of blood essence. Relying on himself, he wasn't afraid of the floating earth spirit. However, he had to end the battle quickly. He had to use all his strength and quickly take him down. This time, he had swallowed a drop of the 6th level essence blood of the Cloud Tiger clan. The Cloud Tiger clan was very fast. Even in the water, Suyu had also erupted rapidly. Boom! A powerful aura covered the area in front of him. The floating earth turned into water, and his speed slowed down. He was secretly shocked. The power of the 6th level of the mountain and sea realm. Without saying anything else, he shot out beams of golden light that were incomparably sharp. At the same time, he quickly transmitted his voice, "Brother Shuiren, no, Brother Su, you go your way, and I'll go my way. There's no need for us to fight." Boom! Mountain-breaking strike. Suyu couldn't be bothered to say anything more about the mountain-breaking strike clan's innate skill. With a single strike, waves surged into the sky. The floating earth spirit quickly rose into the air and ran out of the water. Bang! That piece of seawater directly exploded. The floating earth spirit no longer held any hope. A genius met a genius. If they didn't fight it out, there was no point in saying anything. I'm not someone to be trifled with. Soaring into the air, it turned into golden light and shot towards Suyu. Suyu struck out with his palm, which contained a powerful willpower. However, the 5 Elements clan was a civilized master, and the floating earth spirit strength was also willpower. When the golden light and the palm force collided, Hong Long. Suyu's sea of consciousness shook violently. The floating earth spirit did the same. Very quickly, it turned into a huge mountain and smashed toward Suyu with a Hong Long sound. In the next moment, flames surged into the sky, burning the sea. In the blink of an eye, the two of them exchanged dozens of blows. Suyu was currently devouring blood essence, so his strength was formidable. However, the other party was a civilization master, a 5-element civilization master, and had many tricks up his sleeves. Space escape, water escape, metal kill, fire burn. Suyu snorted coldly. This fellow might have hidden his strength in the past, but with his strength, he was actually ranked at the bottom of the earth roll. He was at the 7th level of Lingyun realm, and he could even go against the 4th or 5th level of the mountain and sea realm. He could even fight against Suyu, who was at the 6th level of the mountain and sea realm. This fellow didn't seem to be inferior to Qin Fong of the human race. 5 Elements Technique. Suyu shouted in a low voice. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1802. 1802 Chapter 404 I Have My Eyes on You. 3. Don't I know how to do it? In the next moment, 2 rays of golden light intertwined in the air. The other party had already seen Suyu transform into water. It was fine even if he transformed into gold, but the divine text was special. Were you not convinced? Boom! The power of the mountains and seas erupted from both of them. Suyu's physical body was strong after all. With a boom, the floating earth spirit transformed into an aborigine. Traces of yellow earth liquid flowed out of his mouth. He was injured. The floating earth spirit was horrified as he cursed loudly. Holy shit! This fellow was so strong. He felt that he was very strong. To be honest, he did not think that he would definitely die if he really met Modwa before he advanced. Although he was no match for him, he did not think that he would definitely die. But now, he had not even exchanged blows with Modwa before he was suppressed by Suyu. The floating earth spirit stopped fighting. Without a word, it turned into water once again to escape. When it escaped, it did not forget the yellow liquid that it spat out earlier. Instantly, the liquid burned. At the same time, Suyu did the same. Flames rose. The yuan qi in the air was burned until it exploded. Boom! When the two fought, they did not forget to remove any traces. Suyu did not want to expose his identity. As for the floating earth spirit, it clearly did not want to be seen by others. For example, his 5 elements as one. Guessing was guessing, but no one could prove anything. The floating earth spirit in front of him also felt this. He quickly transmitted his voice, your identity is kept secret, so am I. Stop fighting, I still have a big move. If we continue fighting, we will be discovered or chased by the heaven hunting pavilion. Neither of us will benefit. You hit it well enough. Suyu said coldly, why don't we find a place with no one and compare our life and death? Suyu, don't go too far. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? The floating earth spirit let out a low growl and turned around. The water flow appeared. 5 Elements Purgatory. With a low growl, countless water flows rushed towards Suyu from all directions. At the same time, the water plants in the water attacked Suyu like long whips. Gradually, they formed a cage. It enveloped Suyu. In the cage, fire was lit in the water. Suyu's expression was strange. Interesting. After killing the floating earth spirit, he might obtain some unexpected things. This fellow seemed to have fused the 5 elements. 5 Elements Purgatory. Suyu carefully observed for a moment before suddenly appearing. He extended his hand and grabbed the gradually shrinking cage. With a creak, the golden light was extinguished, the water grass broke, and the water scattered. The floating earth spirit was shocked. Impossible. No matter how strong the human race's 5 elements divine text was, it was not that simple to break through his 5 elements purgatory. This was the 5 elements of heaven and earth, the 5 elements of origin. Suyu's willpower was not even as strong as his. Gold kill. Wine. In the water, countless golden lights shot towards Suyu. Suyu held his saber and slashed out. The heaven-splitting saber exploded. At this moment, his blood essence power was still there. With this slash, the sea was cut open. The floating earth spirit turned into water and escaped again. However, it was covered by the saber light and was cut into pieces. In the next moment, countless water currents gathered and turned into a complete stream of water again. You can't kill me. The floating earth spirit sent another message. You couldn't kill him. You didn't say anything. He couldn't kill you. Do you think I'm stupid? The water was cut off, and his sea of will was definitely injured. Do you really think you can fight me? Fight. The two of them fought. At this moment, Suyu had already sensed that someone was coming. An expert of the 5th stage of the mountain and sea realm was rapidly flying over. The floating earth spirit also sensed it and shouted, "Do you want to be exposed? Split up and run. Run." Suyu's eyes were dark. Join hands and kill him. Don't even think about running. You can't run. The floating earth spirit cursed. Damn, I'm so unlucky. How did I meet this guy? In the next moment, the sky-splitting saber chi covered heaven and earth. At the same time, the 5 elements purgatory appeared again. In the air, the 5th level of the mountain and sea realm expert who had just flown over was suddenly covered by a shield. With a roar, he punched out, but unexpectedly, he couldn't break through the shield. At this moment, Suyu slashed down with his saber. Mixed with the power of the god-expanding hammer, the blow caused the opponent to tremble. With a slash of his saber, the 6th level of the mountain and sea realm's heaven-splitting saber directly cut the opponent into 2 halves, blood splattering across the sea. The corpse of the expert of the mountain and sea realm instantly turned into a huge snake. Even until his death, he still couldn't understand. How did he die? Actually, he had sensed it. It was just 2 Lingyun. They looked quite powerful, but when the 2 of them fought, they restrained each other's movements. The movements weren't big, and he still wanted to take advantage of them. Who would have thought that he would die just like that? The floating earth spirit couldn't help but curse in a low voice. Suyu's swift escape had also severed the 5 elements purgatory. As for the corpse, the 2 of them didn't even look at it and immediately wanted to run away. As the floating earth spirit ran, he said, "Go and collect the corpse. Otherwise, both of us will expose our strength. Let's stop fighting for a while and clean up the battlefield." That made sense. Although Suyu wanted to kill him, it wasn't that easy to kill him. He quickly collected the corpse and burned the void. At the same time, a cloud descended, and both Suyu and the floating earth spirit gained something. The floating earth spirit cursed silently. "You killed him, but I didn't kill him. What are you doing for me?" At this moment, the floating earth spirit, who was previously ranked lower on the heaven hunting list, instantly rose in rank. 5th on the earth hunting list, floating earth spirit, 5 elements clan, 7th level of Lingyun. Battle record, assisted in killing a 5th level of the mountain and sea realm. The floating earth spirit didn't look at the list, but he was still cursing. "I don't want to go up, at least not now. Damn it, normally, he would only kill the weaker ones. He didn't want to provoke the stronger ones." This was great, he was now 5th on the earth list. Currently, the 1st on the earth list was the Heavenly Abyss tribe's cursed soul, 2nd was Lu Wenyan, 3rd was Qin Fang, and 4th was Huang Teng. He was second only to them. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1803. 1803 Chapter 404, I Have My Eyes on You. 4. As for Long Zhan and Long Wuyo of the Dragon Clan, although they had killed Sun and Moon, they were still ranked below him. As soon as this list changed, the floating earth spirit already had a number of names. He quickly shouted, "Suyu, do you really have to fight to the death? Very soon, everyone will know that I am fighting with someone. I have brought along the talent hunting list and will soon be tracked down. Do you want to die with me?" I've lost the ranking list. I won't. The floating earth spirit took out the ranking list and quickly fled. He shouted, not only will I not lose it, but I will also use the ranking list to contact other people. Su Yu, if you continue to chase after me, I will give up on myself and wait to die with you. Su Yu transformed into his human form and looked at him deeply. You're very strong. Even if you can't fight against someone at the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm, you can still fight against someone at the 6th level of the mountain and sea realm. Qin Fang might not even be able to win against you, and he might not even be as good as you. Right now, he can only fight against someone at the 4th or 5th level of the mountain and sea realm. Qin Fang had also stepped into the 7th level of the Lingyun realm. The floating earth spirit might be even stronger than Qin Fang. Such a fellow was considered his home ground in the water, and it would be very difficult to kill him. But, that did not mean that he could not be killed. Su Yu snorted coldly, and his young aperture began to open halfway. The saber chi was boiling. The floating earth spirit was greatly shocked. In the next moment, he quickly said, you and I have no enmity, so let's discuss things. Su Yu, don't make it so that we won't stop until we're dead. It's meaningless. Our 5 elements race and your human race are not considered great enemies either. Su Yu calmly said, be my captive. If you lose the ranking, I can consider not killing you. Screw you. Which genius would be a human captive? That would be handing his life over to someone else. Unless, there was really no way out. The floating earth spirit cursed, don't go too far. I've really informed the heaven hunting pavilion. Even if you can kill me, it's impossible for you to kill me in one move. Right now, countless people are looking for your whereabouts. Su Yu, do you think you can escape quickly after killing me? The two of them ran and chased. Su Yu was extremely fast. The floating earth spirit's speed in the water was also astonishingly fast. Su Yu's eyes were strange as he asked, how did you achieve the unity of the 5 elements? The 5 invincible forefathers left a mark in my body. Su Yu, do you think you can kill me? I'm the hope of the 5 elements race. If you kill me, there will definitely be an invincible person. You overestimate yourself. Su Yu said coldly, if you die, you will no longer be a hope. Any genius who dies will not be a genius. There was nothing wrong with that. The floating earth spirit cursed inwardly. I'm not dead yet, am I? In the next moment, he suddenly took out something that shook the sea. It was a wooden thorn. He held the wooden thorn and quickly aimed it at Su Yu. Su Yu, you're courting death. The pressure was very strong. Su Yu was shocked. He let out a low growl as he opened up more than half of his young aperture. A drop of blood essence from the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm was quickly consumed by him. In the blink of an eye, his body began to crack. Su Yu swallowed another drop of blood essence, then roared and slashed out with his saber. The saber light covered the entire sea, and the saber slashed toward the floating earth spirit. This blade was too powerful. Su Yu directly half-opened his young aperture and swallowed a drop of blood essence from the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm. He erupted with the power of the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm. As he slashed out, his body began to crack. Su Yu simply could not withstand such a powerful physical strength. The wooden spike of the floating earth spirit instantly charged towards Su Yu. Boom! The dense wood spirit energy instantly covered the blade light. With a bang, the blade light exploded. The floating earth spirit's face also changed dramatically, and it cursed in its heart. F***ck. This guy was too terrifying. 7th level of the mountain and sea realm. However, the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm would also be finished, and wouldn't be able to withstand this wood spike attack. A ray of light quickly shot towards Su Yu. Even if his physical body had reached the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm. Su Yu's eyes went crazy, and he quickly made a judgment. He checked the situation, and in his heart, the little guy woke up again. Helpless, F***ck, who did he offend this time? At this moment, Suyu was very calm. He had a way to deal with it. There was more than one way. The first way was to open all of his yang apertures and explode. He would devour the essence blood of the sun and moon. He would do one thing and collide head-on with the wooden thorn. There was a high probability that his physical body would collapse, but there was hope for him to survive. The second way was the 5 elements divine art. He could feel the rich vitality on the wooden thorn. He could feel a familiar power. The 5 elements power. This wooden thorn was similar to Zhou Xian's immortal talisman. It might have come from an invincible hand. The 5 elements divine art might be able to solve it. Suyu felt the power close to him. Should he crush his body or gamble once? Of course, he chose to gamble once. The 5 elements divine art came from the 5 elements clan. A skilled person was bold. Soon, he still had the golden picture book in his mind. This wooden spike could be considered as a willpower attack. Even Yi Badian, who was at the peak of the sun and moon realm, could not compete with the golden picture book. This was no exception. In the next moment, the 5 elements divine art was activated. The 180 god apertures quickly formed a huge net. A wave of 5 elements power quickly enveloped the wooden spike. Wang! The 2 waves of willpower collided. Suyu roared and directly enveloped that powerful force, directly dragging it into his sea of will. And the instant it was dragged into his sea of will, the 180 god apertures all emitted light. Buzz! The sea of will trembled, but Suyu quickly devoured and converted that powerful life force. In the blink of an eye, a large amount of life force emerged from his body. The injuries on his body just now recovered in the blink of an eye. With a rumble, his body directly stepped into the 28th caste. At this moment, the floating earth spirit's expression changed greatly. What the hell? Was he swallowed by Suyu? He was just about to escape when Suyu quickly appeared in front of him. The floating earth spirit cursed loudly and without a word, a small sword appeared in his hand once again. You insist on fighting to the death. Can you still withstand a blow? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1804. 1804 Chapter 404, I have my eyes on you. 5. Use the wood spike. Very soon, the forefather of the wood spirit clan of the 5 elements clan will sense it. Do you want Invincible to kill you? Suyu's heart trembled slightly. He looked at him and said deeply, your foundation is really deep. It's already good enough that you have an invincible descendant, but you actually still have one. As soon as he finished speaking, Suyu suddenly poured out all the power that he had just absorbed. In the sea, countless aquatic plants grew wildly. This energy was very powerful. However, once Invincible arrived, he would quickly track Suyu down. Suyu quickly fled. His speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared on the spot. Very quickly, he turned into an undead spirit. The aura of death polished the remaining life force in his body. They collided with each other and rapidly forged Suyu's body. This was an invincible energy. And it was the life force that clashed with the power of the undead. Under the intense conflict, Suyu's body was quickly tempered. Suyu's body trembled again. With a rumble, the 29-point casting was completed. And the 2 powers quickly reached the level of wearing each other out. After neutralizing the powerful power in his body, Suyu turned into a human again. The aura of death disappeared in the blink of an eye. Along the way, he burned his aura and completely disappeared in the sea area. The floating earth spirit was so shocked that he wiped the sweat off his forehead. He turned into a water man and held the small sword tightly. This was a treasure given by the ancestor of the Gold Spirit clan to protect himself. He wasn't sure if it could deal with Su Yu. It was too terrifying. It was a defensive item given by Invincible. Of course, it couldn't kill Invincible, and it was difficult to kill the sun and moon. However, under normal circumstances, under the third layer of the sun and moon, even if he didn't die, he would be injured by the wooden spike. Su Yu, on the other hand, how did he do it? How did he swallow the power of the wood spirit? The floating earth spirit was so shocked that he didn't dare to stay any longer. He quickly threw away the ranking board, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. How terrifying! It was too terrifying. Su Yu was really brutal. The floating earth spirit felt that if he really encountered someone at the 7th or 8th level of the mountain and sea realm, he would be able to kill him. Yet, even after losing a wooden spike, he still didn't manage to kill Su Yu. As expected, geniuses were the hardest to kill. Geniuses on the heaven roll weren't to be trifled with. As he fled, he ran for a long distance. Suddenly, a voice rang out in his mind, "Floating Earth, do you still need help?" The Wood Spirit clan's patriarch. The other party had used some unknown method to cross the void and communicate with him. The Floating Earth Spirit quickly replied, "There's no need for that. The opponent has escaped. Elder Ancestor, your Wood Spirit Thorn has been used, but you were unable to kill the other party. It's difficult to kill the sun and moon. Be careful. The other party has destroyed the Wood Spirit's energy, making it impossible to track the other party's location. Don't provoke the sun and moon. I saw the change in the list when you killed the 5th level mountain and sea realm cultivator. If you want to kill them, then so be it. Don't even think about killing the sun and moon. If you use external forces to kill the sun and moon, you won't be able to make it onto the heaven list either." The floating earth spirit wanted to cry but had no tears. "Go away." The patriarch probably thought that he was dealing with the sun and moon as well. "What nonsense, Ling Yun. What sun and moon?" "Patriarch, it's not the sun and moon. Powerful gods and devils at the peak of the mountain and sea realm. They have some tricks up their sleeves. It's Ling Yun, the number 1 on the heaven list, Su Yu." The connection was cut off. Patriarch Wood Spirit might not be able to hold on for too long, or he might have been shaken. In short, at this moment, the connection was cut off. As for the floating earth spirit, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His sea of consciousness trembled. The pressure he had to bear to communicate across realms was also immense. Forefather Wood Spirit might still be in the 5 elements world. Since he wasn't dead yet, the other party might not have come to the heavenly battlefield. "Forefather, you must be confused as well." The floating earth spirit ridiculed. They had agreed that this thing could kill the sun and moon, but in the end, it couldn't even kill a single Ling Yun. He didn't know if the forefather suspected Mu Sheng. The floating earth spirit didn't dare to be careless and continued to escape. He was unlucky. He didn't gain anything. He had crippled a wooden thorn. The 5 elements patriarch had given him 1. After using up 5 of them, he had no one to rely on. It would be difficult for Invincible to stand up for him unless Invincible killed him. Otherwise, geniuses would usually pray for their own good fortune. This time, he had used 1. There were still 4 left. He had ventured into the heavenly battlefield and encountered many enemies. This was the first time he had used it, but the results were not satisfactory. How unlucky. The floating earth spirit was depressed and wanted to cry but had no tears. How did he meet that fellow? He was almost killed. It was too dangerous. He had used up one of his 5 life-saving chances. The floating earth spirit vomited blood and Su Yu frowned. It was really hard to kill. Damn it. None of these invincible descendants were good, and all of them had hidden great killing weapons. Of course, since these great killing weapons were given to him, there was no need to ridicule him. He was actually not bad. The great killing weapon that he used to kill the sun and moon was also given by Yi Batian and Lu Wenyan, so it could be considered an inheritance item. Fortunately, that power actually helped me forge my body twice. Su Yu could only console himself. He hadn't gained nothing. At the very least, that powerful life force had helped him forge his body twice. That wasn't bad. Furthermore, his young aperture was half opened, and the damage to his body caused by the devouring of the seventh layer of the mountain and sea realm was rapidly recovering. It wasn't too bad. The floating earth spirit found out about my situation here. Su Yu frowned. This was troublesome. Judging from that fellow's condition, it was possible that he still had some unrivaled life-saving methods for him. 5 Elements Divine Art. Su Yu's eyes flickered. The floating earth spirit might still have 4 of these things. Not bad. I've set my eyes on you. One of them can help me forge 2 physical bodies. 4 of them would be 8 times of forging. Moreover, there was still a large amount of energy. He didn't have the time to absorb it. Otherwise, there would be even more. I can't devour 2 of them at once. I'll explode. But 1. I can still do it. The 5 Elements Divine Art seems to be very compatible with the power of the 5 Elements race. This was the first time Su Yu had used the 5 Elements Divine Art. It felt alright. The floating earth spirit can help me cast at least 8 bodies. It would be best if he could give himself such a blow at once. Su Yu licked his lips. Floating earth spirit, I really have my eyes on you. Since you have such a good thing, and it seems like you can't kill me, then I will go and snatch it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1805. 1805 Chapter 405, 9-Star City, I'm here. 1. Floating Earth Spirit. Su Yu mumbled. This guy had hidden himself quite well. He had to be careful that he sold out his whereabouts and try to stay as far away from here as possible. Su Yu felt a little regretful that he couldn't kill the floating earth spirit or catch him. He had no choice. Life wasn't going his way, most likely. There would always be a little regret. Although he felt helpless, Su Yu could only think of another way. At the moment, that fellow was definitely very vigilant, and he might not be able to track it down. Let's go look for Tendo and the little golden dragon. Now that the floating earth spirit was on guard, it was very difficult to come across such a good opportunity again. Moreover, that fellow really had many tricks up his sleeves. The little golden dragon and Tendo. I'm afraid the little golden dragon also has quite a few tricks up his sleeves. Tendo might have a few tricks up his sleeve. Su Yu didn't dare to underestimate that dragon. He had heard that Invincible had appeared on its behalf. Its grandfather was an invincible golden dragon, and the great elder of the Golden Dragon clan. On the other hand, Tendo was a descendant of the Devil King's 17 or 18 generations. Although he was also an invincible descendant, their relationship was quite far apart. Gods and devils lived long, had many descendants, and had a long history. In Tendo's generation, unless one had a particularly powerful talent, one might not even be able to see Invincible. This was the norm. However, he was an invincible descendant, so his identity was still useful. My main target is still Tendo. Su Yu thought that the little golden dragon might have a way to contact invincibility. The dragon world was close to this place, so it would be very dangerous to have designs on the little golden dragon. After fighting the floating earth spirit, Su Yu became more alert to himself. Su Yu, you're not that strong. You killed the sun and moon by accident, because of the favorable timing and location, and because of the 5th generation divine runes. You're not the sun and moon, and you won't be able to kill the next sun and moon. At most, you'll be able to fight the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm. The seventh level of the mountain and sea realm is nothing compared to the sun and moon. Su Yu, look at yourself clearly. At most, you're nothing compared to the mountains and seas. Don't think too much. There are many suns and moons here. Don't think that you're very strong. Su Yu secretly warned himself. Don't drift away. After killing a few mountains and seas, killing a few suns and moons, he was very inflated. He even thought that the geniuses of the gods and devils were nothing. But in reality, look, a trashy floating earth spirit almost killed you. Above the floating earth spirit, there were many geniuses. According to Su Yu's thoughts, the floating earth spirit should at least be ranked higher than Huang Teng, right? Could Huang Teng kill a 4th or 5th level mountain and sea realm warrior? No way. Su Yu, who was alert in his heart, pondered for a moment and quickly transformed into an iron-winged bird. The mountain-breaking bull. He had thought that he had kept a low profile. In the end, Su Yu realized that he had been mistaken. The mountain-breaking bull's blood essence was so fragrant. It was most likely not his idea to break the mountain-breaking bull alone. The floating earth spirit might have been attracted by the mountain-breaking bull. No wonder. No wonder Su Yu had not met the mountain ox clan in the vast sea of stars. Even the Tianxia island did not have the mountain ox. It was likely that he did not dare to go out alone. The iron-winged bird was trash enough, right? The iron-winged bird of the Lingyun realm had some strength, but its blood essence was not worth much. Now, no one would have any designs on him, right? Su Yu secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Low profile. Now that his whereabouts were exposed, he did not know if the floating earth spirit would publicize it. He had to be careful. 9-Star Island. It was much bigger than the Heavenly Dawn Island. Here, the entrance to the 9 realms radiated. The entire island was divided into many areas. Although it was called an island, it was really big. If it was thrown into the human realm, it could not even be compared to a mansion. There were more than one city on 9-Star Island. There were many of them. Among them, the 9 realms each had their own city. And the 9 realms had joined forces. In the center of the island, in a place that didn't involve the entrance to their realms, they once again built a huge city called 9-Star City. Other than these cities that were later built, there was also an ancient city on 9-Star Island. Of course, not many people went to the ancient city. But it wasn't that there weren't any. When they met their enemies, the type that couldn't be matched, there were still many people who would hide in the ancient city to seek refuge. There were many creatures on the entire island. This was because the entrances to the 9 realms were all here. Just these small realms alone had countless creatures moved to 9-Star Island. 9-Star Island was close to the Starry Palace, so its vitality was much denser than in the 9 realms. Every 10 years, 9-Star Island would reach its peak, and it was bustling with activity. Geniuses from all walks of life gathered. This place was different from the Sea of Desire Plains. The geniuses there were mainly soaring in the sky, and they were rarely seen in the mountains and seas. As for 9-Star Island, other than the fact that Invincible rarely came, the sun and the moon were all common. In recent days, there had been a lot of big battles, and the residents of 9-Star Island had seen enough of the excitement. This year's trip to the Starry Palace was likely to be very exciting. This was just a warm-up. There were still many geniuses in the 10,000 clans, but some didn't come to the heavenly battlefield. Not coming to the heavenly battlefield didn't mean that they were weak. In some small worlds, some geniuses had already begun to fight in all directions. In some ancient clans, some geniuses who were cultivating in seclusion also started to come out one after another. The Starry Sky Mansion was about to open. Currently, there were as many as 9 levels. Soaring into the sky was the foundation, and Ling Yun was the main force. Mountains and seas weren't rare either. The stronger the genius, the higher the level, the greater the danger. Older and stronger, it was even more dangerous to enter. This was one of the greatest opportunities in the myriad heavens battlefield. There were people who had obtained great opportunities here. Their divine apertures had become one within a day, stepping into the sun and moon. There were people who had picked up heavenly weapons here, controlled them, and obtained opportunities by slaying the sun and moon. There were also people who had their yuan qi changed 9 times in an instant, using ancient treasures as their foundation. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1806. 1806 Chapter 405, 9-Star City, I'm Here. 2. In short, as the Starry Sky Mansion was about to open, experts from all races were gathering near 9-Star Island. Originally, everyone might have come at the end of the year, but they came earlier this year. This had something to do with Suyu. No, it had something to do with Modwa. That fellow was the first to inform those geniuses on the heaven roll. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many geniuses gathered on 9-Star Island in an instant. On the heavenly battlefield, the gathering of geniuses would cause some geniuses who originally didn't want to come to have some thoughts. If they went, then I had to go too. Along the way, Suyu had seen many battles. As expected, along with his transformation into the Iron-Winged Bird clan, there were fewer people who came to find trouble with him. It wasn't worth it to find trouble with the weak. Killing a weak clan didn't bring much benefits. It was unknown whether it was the sorrow or luck of the weak clans. At the very least, many geniuses disdained killing the experts of the weak clans. Landing on the island. On the island, chaos was constantly breaking out, and the battles were endless. Suyu tried his best to avoid them. After landing on the island, there were more suns and moons here. From what he knew, there were at least 20 Sun-Moon realm experts from each clan gathered here. There were even some late-stage Sun-Moon realm experts, such as Qin Hao, and the expert riding the giant eagle he saw last time. More than half of these people were gathered in 9-Star City. As for the other cities, they were all partially radiated by the boundary energy of different realms, which made these suns and moons feel a bit uncomfortable. Moreover, they were right in front of their homes, so it wasn't safe. Among the 9 small realms, there were 9 levels of the sun and moon guarding them. Some of them even had more than one. Once they attacked at the boundary passage, they might be able to display close to invincible combat strength. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, the other Sun-Moon realm experts didn't want to go there to avoid causing trouble. The entire 9-Star Island wasn't completely out of order. 9-Star City was under the management of the Thousand Domain Alliance. The 9 small worlds could be considered as a member of the Thousand Domain Alliance. In the city, it was somewhat peaceful. Under normal circumstances, they would give the Thousand Domain Alliance some face. At the very least, there were hundreds or even thousands of races working together. Although they might not be united. However, against strong races, the Thousand Region Alliance could still work together. If they didn't work together, the small realms would be invaded. The 4 war zones in the east, south, west, and north had almost all been conquered. This was also one of the reasons why the Thousand Region Alliance rose so quickly. Right now, the only thing the Thousand Region Alliance lacked was a group of experts who were invincible within their own realms. Suyu had learned all this information before. Therefore, although he had never been to 9-Star Island before, he was not a stranger. At this moment, Suyu did not travel alone. He spent 100 drops of Yuan Qi liquid to follow a team. This was a team that specialized in doing business. Bring people into the city. They could enter 9-Star City or any other city. There was a certain fee. The main purpose was to protect the safety of some people on the island. The main members were the experts of the weaker races, or some of the experts of the 9 realms on 9-Star Island. They were in charge of helping people deal with the problems they might encounter on the way. For example, Su Yu's team was made up of a 6th-level Shanghai Realm expert, 2 first-level Shanghai Realm experts, and 10 Lingyun experts. The 13 experts were responsible for picking up people at the entrance of the island. Including Su Yu, there were a total of 30 people in this team. Each of them had 100 drops of Origin Chi liquid and 3,000 drops. If they went to 9-Star City quickly, one day would be enough. Actually, they had earned quite a lot. 3,000 drops of Origin Chi liquid was close to 10,000 human merit points. 13 people would split it. Of course, they still had to hand over some to the 1,000 Region Alliance. On average, each person would earn close to 500 merit points. It was still very profitable. Su Yu calculated that he could earn thousands of merit points in a month. It was more than being an elder in the human realm. Of course, it was also very dangerous. In this place, there was danger everywhere. Moreover, it was only a once-in-a-decade opportunity to earn money. Usually, there were very few people who entered the island. Most of the people in the team were from weak races. Some were in the air, some were in the clouds, and some were in the mountains and seas. Those in the mountain and sea realm wouldn't have any problems if they didn't cause trouble. If they did, the guards wouldn't be able to deal with them. Su Yu also saw a cultivator in the 10,000 stone realm. To be honest, other than the army, it was rare to see a cultivator in the 10,000 stone realm wandering around. Especially in the Sea of Stars. If you said that you were wandering around somewhere else, then forget it. But 10,000 stones coming to the Sea of Stars, really, Su Yu even suspected that the other party was pretending. Su Yu wasn't the only one. Even the leader of the 6th level of the mountain and sea realm, an expert from the Heavenly Eagle tribe, had some suspicions. As he led the group on their way, he looked at the 10,000 stone realm fellow. In the group, the 10,000 stone realm cultivator still had a tail on his butt. When he was looked at by others, he felt a little helpless. He said, "Seniors, don't look at me anymore. I really didn't hide my strength. Even if I really did have strength, I should have hidden myself as Ling Yun and soaring into the sky. Who would be able to hide in the starry sea like thousands of stones? That's even more eye-catching than the mountains and seas. I'm from the Croaker Fish clan, a cultivator from the mountain world. A few days ago, there was a great battle between experts, and we invaded the mountain world. We cultivators from the realm passage were afraid of being implicated, so we had no choice but to flee the mountain world to save our lives." The Sky Eagle, who was the leader, said in surprise, "The mountain realm? Who invaded the mountain realm? The mountain realm passage wasn't here, but it wasn't too far from here. And there was also the sun and moon guarding it." "What about the sun and moon guarding it?" The Croaker Fish clan youth shook his head. "I don't know them. They're very strong. The experts guarding the passage also fled, but one of them should be a human, and the other one might be an expert from the demon race. They're both in the late stage of the sun and moon realm. Because the sun and moon guarding the passage are in the late stage, they were scared away." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1807. 1807 Chapter 405, 9-Star City, I'm here. 3. As soon as this was said, the rest of the team became interested. Someone interrupted, "The Misty Mountain world isn't weak. Although the Croaker Fish clan isn't invincible, there are still a few small clans in the mountain world. There are also a few 9th-level Sun-Moon experts. Who is so bold as to charge into the Misty Mountain world? The human race, the strongest human side. Could it be that the human Great Qin Manor's Lord Qin Hao has charged in? The demon race, the one who dares to fight with Qin Hao, could it be an original demon race expert? Or a blood-fire demon race expert? Are we done fighting? Did anyone die?" These people discussed animatedly, and Su Yu was also quite surprised. He knew about the fish race in the mountain world. He had once checked the information and felt that he had been killed before. It was this race that had a cow tail and chicken wings. They were considered neutral races and rarely left the mountain world. Had he been killed by someone and had to flee? How tragic. Speaking of which, he had yet to consume the essence blood of the fish. He did not even know what the essence blood of the fish race was used for. However, this race was not strong, and they probably did not have any special skills. On the other hand, the flesh of the fish race could be used to detoxify poison, and it could also be considered a good thing. Since these people were talking about this, Suyu naturally said, I heard that the primordial demon race and the dragon race are currently entangled. For the sake of that ancient dragon blood tree, this demon race is provoking enemies everywhere. As expected, the demon race is overbearing. The leader, Shanhai, berated, don't talk nonsense. The demon race is powerful. If the passing demon race heard it, the ordinary demon race wouldn't mind. Be careful of meeting the experts of the blood-fire demon race. That was a madman. You speak ill of the demon race, do you not want your life? Suyu smiled and said, My lord, please forgive me. I don't have any other meaning. I just admire the strength of the demon race. My lord, this time, there are quite a few geniuses from the demon race, right? I'm not interested in others, but on the demon race's side, Lord Modwa is extremely powerful. He's always been number one on the heaven roll. Has my lord met Lord Modwa in 9-Star City? The moment Modwa was mentioned, everyone fell silent. They all looked at the mountain sea sky eagle. When the sky eagle heard this, he had a fearful expression on his face. He said in a low voice, I've had the honor to meet him once. He's very, very powerful. Although I'm at the 6th level of the mountain sea realm, in front of Lord Modwa, I don't even have the desire to fight. I only feel that I'm extremely powerful. Suyu secretly ridiculed him. Was it really that exaggerated? He had also met Modwa. Of course, they were quite far away. It wasn't that exaggerated. Suyu wasn't interested in Modwa. He was really interested in Tendo. However, Tendo's reputation wasn't that great, and he had to rely on himself to guide him. Suyu waited for that fellow to speak for a while, then, he sighed. The geniuses of the origin demon race are indeed powerful. This time, he did not know if he would be able to meet some geniuses, especially the geniuses of the primogenitor clan. Other than Lord Modwa, he did not know how powerful the other primogenitor geniuses were. The primogenitor clan is powerful, so of course there are many geniuses. Other than Lord Modwa, the most active one right now is probably Lord Tendo. As someone in the team spoke, Suyu secretly clapped. Well done, their coordination was really good. Suyu also followed up by saying, Lord Tendo. I also know about this. Lord Tendo has also entered the Earth role, but, his ranking is a little low. I took a look and before that, it was. Before he could finish, someone interrupted, that was before. Now it's not low anymore. A few days ago, Lord Tendo has already entered the 12th place on the Earth roll. That's already very impressive. Earth roll 12. Suyu's face was filled with astonishment. It's been a while since I had the chance to look at the heaven hunting roll. Lord Tian Duo has already killed his way into the 12th place. Of course. A few days ago, Lord Tian Duo had just killed an expert at the 2nd level of the mountain and sea realm. In addition, many people died on the Earth roll. Lord Tian Duo has risen very quickly. Indeed, quite a number of people had died. Suyu had already killed quite a few people who were ranked 72 on the Earth roll. Jiu Xian was ranked, and Min was ranked, and Dao Cheng was ranked on the heaven roll. However, his ranking had dropped recently, and Suyu hadn't noticed it. Speaking of which, Suyu was actually quite familiar with the people ranked at the top of the Earth roll. Of course, he had never seen the number 1 cursed soul before. Tian Duo had already reached the 12th place, and he had indeed risen very quickly. From the looks of it, that fellow had been very active recently. Lord Tian Duo is also in 9-Star City. Yes, but he will go out every few days. He is staying at the Demon Race's embassy. You won't be able to see him even if you go there. Suyu nodded. I understand that he is staying at the Demon Race's embassy. I also understand that he will go out every few days. This information came from a simple source. The accuracy could not be guaranteed. Suyu said enviously, Sir Yun, are there many sun and moon experts in 9-Star City? Do you think that there are any sun and moon experts who will take in disciples? That Sky Eagle expert was speechless. Don't think about it. There are at least 8,000 people who have the same thoughts as you. Who has the time to bother with small clan creatures like us? Sun and Moon Realm, of course there are many Sun and Moon Realm experts. Our clan still has a Sky Eagle expert at the 3rd level of the Sun and Moon Realm in the city. I can't even see him. A giant eagle at the 3rd level of the Sun and Moon Realm. Suyu's heart moved. He thought of the giant eagle he had encountered when he had just entered the Sea of Stars. It had almost eaten his own and carried an extremely powerful expert. Suyu hurriedly said, an almighty at the 3rd level of the Sun and Moon Realm. Sir, your clan still has a Sun and Moon Realm expert guarding 9-Star City. This is too blissful. Shan Hai of the Heavenly Eagle clan shook his head and said, don't think too much. Of course, my clan has a Sun and Moon expert, but that, forget it, I can't get close to him. Just like your Iron Wing clan, you also have an expert working for the God clan. Can you get close to an expert of the God clan? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1808. 1808 Chapter 405, 9-Star City, I'm here. 4, can't. Suyu was depressed and said with some understanding, Sir, you mean? This senior Sky Eagle is following the experts. They are all at the 3rd level of the Sun and Moon, which sir is worthy of being followed by the senior Sky Eagle tribe. The Sky Eagle tribe side, of course, the 3rd level of the Sun and Moon is the sky to us. But to the most powerful experts, it's nothing. The seniors of our clan follow the experts whose names are on the Tao manifestation roll. Lord Gu Shan of the Immemorial Giant Clan. The Immemorial Giant Clan. Suyu's heart moved again. He knew this clan. It was an ancient clan, an immemorial giant, and extremely powerful. Suyu knew people from the giant clan. Back then, Hong Tan had captured 3 mountains and seas. One of them was from the giant clan, the mountain giant clan's Ju Shan. The other 2 were the bloodthirsty clan's Blood Moon, and the Devil-Eye clan's One-Eyed. Giant Mountain was only a member of the mountain giant tribe. Compared to the immemorial giant tribe, the gap was huge. Even so, the mountain giant tribe's ranking was not low, and they were powerful. According to the entire giant tribe, the giant tribe was also extremely powerful. They were not inferior to the 5 Elements tribe. Now, Suyu finally knew who that person was. He was an expert from the immemorial giant tribe, an expert from the ancient tribe, Gu Shan, and an expert at the 9th level of the Sun and Moon Realm. The Tao Manifestation Board was probably the same board that the Heavenly Treasures building was on. Suyu asked curiously again, Sir, this Tao Manifestation Board, just how many experts are there? Last time, I went to the Heavenly Treasures building and asked, but they still refused to sell me. They said that I wasn't qualified to buy it. Suyu had a depressed look on his face. The Heavenly Eagle Mountain and Sea laughed. Of course. Unless you've stepped into the mountain and sea realm or are a genius on the Heaven Hunting Board, otherwise. This list is not open to the public. After all, it involves a group of almighty experts who are about to attain the Tao. If it spreads too widely, whoever is ranked higher or lower may cause the other party to be dissatisfied. Because of this matter, the Heavenly Treasures building has already been attacked several times by a few Sun and Moon Almighty experts. If the Sun and Moon Almighty experts who were about to attain the Tao didn't care about you, then forget it. If they really cared about you, then you'd still give the other party a ranking. If they didn't kill you, then you'd be considered lucky. The Heavenly Treasures building only had a relatively strong background. Otherwise, it would have been demolished long ago. Su Yu was quite interested and whispered, "Sir, this list, do we have a chance to buy one?" Ing Yun smiled, he nodded slightly. "Yes, but don't ask me. I don't dare to sell this thing. If you go to 9-Star City, you can find the Heaven Hunting Pavilion to buy it. If the Heavenly Treasures building doesn't sell it, they will sell it. If they sell it, they will say that it's the Heavenly Treasures building's doing, and it has nothing to do with them." The Heaven Hunting Pavilion fellows are deliberately slapping their faces. Su Yu was surprised and couldn't help but laugh. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion was actually selling the Heaven Hunting Pavilion's list. Just as he was thinking about it, Ing Yun continued, "This is very normal. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion is still selling their Heaven Hunting list. It is difficult to get a separate list, but everyone also hopes to get information as soon as possible. For example, which genius is on the list and which genius has fallen. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion's separate list is something that ordinary people cannot get. It is even harder to get than the Tao Manifestation list. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion also sells their list. Of course, there is no special use for it." Su Yu nodded once again. "I've learned a lot. They're trying to undermine each other." "Got it." He would go back and buy 2 lists to take a look. Recently, he didn't dare to bring the Heaven Hunting list with him. He wasn't too sure about the specific situation, but it was just hearsay. It would be good to look at the latest battle results of all the geniuses and make a basic assessment of their strength. As for the Tao Manifestation list, he would also take a look. The main reason was to see if Xia Longwu was ranked first, the 9th level of the Sun Moon, the most promising Tao manifestation in the world. Also, he wanted to see Old Zhu, to boost his confidence. Old Zhu might not be on the board, the lowly 9th level of the Sun Moon. There should be a lot of 9th level of the Sun Moon among the 10,000 races. Putting everything else aside, almost all the manners of the 36 manners of the human race were at the 9th level of the Sun Moon. There were also old men like Cheng Mo of the Tang Empire. The human race had many suns and moons, and there were many 9th level suns and moons. Su Yu conservatively estimated that there were no less than 50 people. This was the lowest number. There were dozens of governors in the 36 manors. There were also some generals from elite corps, such as Zhou Polong, and some old men who were seriously injured. Among the 10,000 clans, there were more or less 9 levels of the Sun and Moon among the clans that were not invincible. Not counting the big clans, just these small clans alone had hundreds of 9th level of the Sun and Moon, right? In addition to the large clans. Su Yu felt that it was normal for there to be more than 1,000 9th level Sun Moon experts. Of course, most of them stayed in their own domains. For example, in the 9-Star Island's 9 realms, there were more than 10 9th level Sun Moon experts, but none of them would come out. Within the realms, they were close to being invincible and could fight unrivaled existences. If they came out, invincible would easily kill you. With so many 9th level Sun and Moon cultivators, Su Yu felt that Xia Longwu might not be the strongest. There might be more powerful ones. At least Xia Longwu didn't seem to have killed any 9th level Sun and Moon cultivators, but he did kill some 8th level ones. Usually, it was fine if he didn't count them, but now that he did, Su Yu felt helpless. There were too many clans, and too many experts. There were too many suns and moons. There might not really be 10,000 clans among the 10,000 clans. In any case, Su Yu didn't count. There were still a few thousand clans of all sizes. The weaker ones would usually have a sun and moon. There were hundreds or thousands of clans. If he really counted, there were at least tens of thousands of suns and moons among the 10,000 clans. There were also hundreds of undefeatable clans. Perhaps there were more than that. Gods, demons, immortals, humans, dragons, these strong clans had undefeatable clans that exceeded 300. The more I think, the more I feel humble. This, I have nothing to expand. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1809. 1809 Chapter 405, 9-Star City, I'm here. 5. There were countless suns and moons. He had killed mountains and seas, and could be an overlord in the small world. In the human realm, he was only a pavilion elder, so what was the big deal? No one understood Su Yu's thoughts. If they knew, they would probably curse him to death. What kind of joke was this? The myriad races in the heavens had been passed down for so many years, and there were countless creatures. Those who could cultivate to the mountain and sea realm were 1 in 100 million. Those who could cultivate to the sun and moon realm were even rarer. They were all accumulated over time. A 19-year-old human like him was actually using these invincible sun and moon realms to calculate his own strength. As they walked and chatted, everyone's speed wasn't slow either. Along the way, they encountered a few battles. Ing Yun brought them to take a detour and left. Even if it was only Ling Yun who was fighting, he still took a detour. There was no need to get involved. There was also no need to show off. There were many powerhouses in the Ling Yun realm. Ling Yun was ranked first and second on the heaven roll. There was also a large number of people on the earth roll. Killing mountains and seas was like killing for fun. Not every Ling Yun was inferior to mountains and seas. In the heavenly battlefield, the first rule was to know your place. If you didn't know your place, no matter how strong you were, someone would be able to suppress you. Su Yu also observed along the way and memorized the route. He was preparing to escape and hide. If the scam was activated, he might have to escape very quickly after that. It was better to first investigate the situation before anything else. Otherwise, he would run in the wrong direction and end up in front of the enemy's house. Impersonating a candidate, tentatively choosing Tendo. Actually, the floating earth spirit was better, but Su Yu did not catch him. This was very troublesome. Now, Su Yu did not even want to catch him. He wanted to kill him and keep his identity a secret. Just as Su Yu was thinking, a void battle broke out in the distance. Everyone looked over there. Ing Yun took a look, he quickly said, "Quickly take a detour and leave. It's the stone statue of the Rockman tribe. The one who fought with him wasn't weak either. I'm afraid he's also a genius on the heaven hunting list, Sai. If we meet these geniuses, even the mountains and seas won't be able to do anything." He had no choice. The stone statue. Su Yu's eyes moved slightly. He knew this stone statue. Back when Lei Ju was chasing after him, this stone statue saw Lei Ju and beat him up. Lei Ju had no choice but to take a detour. Lei Ju was at the 9th level of the Ling Yun realm, and the stone venerable was at the 7th level of the Ling Yun realm. However, he was able to suppress Lei Ju, and Lei Ju had killed mountains and seas. One could imagine that the stone venerable was also an extremely powerful genius. In the air, the stone golem was incomparably ruthless. No matter how his opponent attacked, one punch after another, the sound of explosions reverberated through the heavens and earth. One punch after another, it seemed as if there was no end to it. After a moment, the experts that were fighting with him quickly fled. Shi Zun also quickly caught up, but his speed was a little slower. Ing Yun waited for them to leave, only then did he heave a sigh of relief and say, "There are too many geniuses on this side." Shi Zun is an expert ranked 13th on the earth roll. He is just one rank lower than Tian Duo. The one that is fighting with him, I observed for a moment. He should be the negative mountain who is ranked 15th on the earth roll. He can be considered one of the giants. He is not an immemorial giant, but a dragon giant. It is rumored that he is a descendant of the giants and dragons. The group of people watched the commotion and sighed in amazement. Suyu didn't really care about this, but rather, he cared about some gossip. Rumor had it that the relationship between Shirzun and the floating earth spirit was very bad. When he saw the floating earth spirit, Shirzun would find fault with him. Suyu was surprised. Could the floating earth spirit not defeat this guy, or was it pretending to be weak? Shirzun was strong, but when he punched out just now, Suyu felt that from the strength of his physical body alone, Shirzun was actually weaker than him. And when he unleashed the power of the 6th level of the mountain and sea realm, he still couldn't kill the floating earth spirit. As for the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm, that was something he would have to deal with Spike in the future. Shirzun. Thoughts flashed through Suyu's mind. The floating earth spirit and he were sworn enemies. Was it just an act or was it real? If it was real, maybe Shirzun could restrain that fellow. One was an aborigine, and the other was a stone man. These two had similar attributes. As he was thinking, a huge city appeared in the distance. They had arrived at 9-Star City. It was huge, and Suyu didn't care about its size. The Calamity Divine text jumped slightly, and from the looks of it, there were many people in the city who were a threat to him. Just as he was thinking about this, a boom sounded in the sky above the city. A huge white dragon collided with a flaming demonic god. Long He, are you buying or not? If not, get lost. The ancient demonic god shouted coldly and punched out, and the huge white dragon swept out with its tail. The pressure shook the sky. Long He said angrily, Devo, don't go too far. You bought the dragon blood ancient tree with 10 drops of sun moon mystic yellow liquid, and we bought it for 10 times the price. Why are you still not agreeing? Humph. 500 drops, not a drop less. Damn it. The pressure of the two experts covered the sky and earth. At this moment, another giant soared into the sky and shouted, the two of you, fighting in 9-Star City is a bit too much. The two of you are experts from powerful clans, do you have to make a fool of yourselves for the younger generation? On Suyu's side, Ingyun from the Sky Eagle race didn't dare to speak, he sent a voice transmission, the demon race and the dragon race are fighting over the ancient dragon blood tree. This later expert is the city lord of 9-Star City. In fact, he's one of the members of the Elder Alliance of the Thousand Region Alliance. He's powerful and is also a late-stage sun-moon expert. The group of small clan creatures trembled. They were both excited and nervous when they saw the 3 late-stage sun-moon realm experts. Didn't they come to the heavenly battlefield and 9-Star Island to see the experts? Today, they had seen enough. The genius on the list, the sun-moon realm expert, the god, demon, and dragon immortal. They were excited and nervous, but Suyu didn't pay much attention to them. Late-stage sun-moon realm. I have seen a lot of them. These 3 weren't as strong as Ming He from before. They weren't as strong as Mo He from the incipient demon race. Similarly, they weren't as strong as the ancient giant Suyu had seen before. Suyu looked at them for a while and felt that they couldn't fight. As expected, under the 9-Star City Lord's persuasion, the demon and dragon quickly descended and disappeared. Suyu took a deep breath. It was exciting. I like it. The moment he arrived, he saw the sun and moon face off. This place was even more exciting than the ancient city. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1810. 1810 Chapter 406 Fishing 1. Suyu had been to Bright Light City, but there was a huge gap between 9-Star City and Bright Light City. For example, at the city gate. Once they reached the city gate, they would not enter for free, but they would be charged 10 drops of yuan qi liquid. The guard at the gate glanced at these people and immediately charged. Furthermore, it was a side door. As for the main door, when he saw Su Yu and the others looking over, the guard immediately said, "The strong are respected. The top 100 races are free to enter. Go through the main door." Not to mention the 1,000 Region Alliance looking down on anyone, the 1,000 Region Alliance isn't even one of the top 100 races. Even their own people have to go through the side door. It was that simple. Class was strict. Without money, how could they maintain the city? This city was built by the 1,000 Region Alliance themselves. The guard quickly added, "When you arrive at the mountain and sea, you can go through the main gate, regardless of your race. The main reason is for your safety." The guard said calmly, "Don't look at me like that. Many experts from powerful clans have bad tempers. It's fine if you go to the mountain and sea, but if you don't go to the mountain and sea, let them go with the fire dolphins. They won't feel comfortable. Accept your fate. In the myriad clans of the heavens, if you weren't strong enough, your race wasn't strong, and your background wasn't strong, then accept your fate." It was that simple. The others, even if they were a little uncomfortable, accepted their fate and paid up. As for Su Yu, he also paid up the entrance fee. What else could he say? Even the people of the 1,000 Domain Alliance had to pay up, and they had to use the side door. This was something that couldn't be said. After all, he was a trash iron-wing bird. Luckily, he was stronger than the fire dolphins. This race was truly trash. After teasing himself for a while, Su Yu had just entered the city when he saw a powerful figure appear on top of a tall building in the center of the city. His voice reverberated in all directions. "From today onwards, no living creature is allowed to enter the 810 gates on the 9th floor west of the Starry Manor." Just these words made Su Yu feel a little lost. What was going on? This time, a God race member had appeared. He said that no living creature was allowed to enter the gates. What did he mean? Was it related to the Starry Mansion? He was a little confused. He wasn't the only one. Some of the creatures who had entered the gate with him were also confused. Ing Yun, who was leading the team, was about to leave. He sighed, shook his head, and transmitted, "Next year's trip to the Starry Mansion will reduce the chances for the small clans." Seeing that they were still confused, he said again, "The Starry Manor is very special. There is a limit to the number of people who can enter. It is divided into 4 sides. One side is divided into 9 levels. There are 810 gates. Each gate can have 1 living creature enter. The combined attack can have 3,240 people. In addition, the Starry Manor has a special passageway that can have 360 living creatures enter. The combined attack can have a total of 3,600 people enter. Now, the Protoss have directly occupied the 810 gates on the west side. They are not allowing anyone else to enter. It looks like they have completed the sweep and blockade." Su Yu was surprised. There was such a saying. That was true. There was indeed a quota limit. As far as he knew, the Daming Mansion only had 10 quotas, and the Great Xia Mansion had 20. The Great Xia Mansion was one of the top 3 manors of the human race, so it only had 20 quotas. The Daming Mansion was not weak, so it only had 10 quotas. The human race probably only had a few hundred quotas in total. On average, it only had 360 quotas if it was 10 quotas per mansion. Did this mean that they did not have as many slots as the Celestials? The Celestials had directly occupied 810 slots. Of course, they did not rule out giving some slots to small clans. After all, there were also small clans attached to them. Just as the celestial expert finished speaking, someone in the air said indifferently, "Your Celestials are really fast. They sealed off the west gate so quickly." After saying that, that person said lazily, since the Celestials have already said it, I'll say one more thing. The 810 gates in the south belong to the demon race. No living beings are allowed to set foot there. The 810 gates in the north have been taken by the Celestials. The 810 gates in the east have been taken by the human race. The first three were fine. As soon as he said that, an expert in the air shouted coldly, since when did the human race take all the eastern gates? The 810 gates in the east have been divided into 300 by the human race, 300 by the dragon race, and the rest will be divided equally among the top 100 races. Su Yu was actually still a little confused, but at this moment, he suddenly felt angry. Why couldn't the human race have 810 gates? The gods, immortals, and demons each had their own side, but the human race had just opened their mouth when they were blocked. Su Yu felt angry, but in the next moment, he felt a little depressed. The human race had admitted defeat. In the next moment, the person who had spoken earlier smiled and said, "Forget it, then the 400 eastern gates belong to the human race. As for the rest, everyone can split it." The person who had refuted that expert earlier said coldly again, "Can the human race get 400? The human expert who had spoken, he smiled again and said, "I represent the War God Hall, not the Quest Realm. This 400 belongs to the War God Hall. Those in the Quest Realm can come and snatch it for themselves. If you don't like it, the Great Qin King and the others will come and look for you. Also, don't tell me that I represent invincibility. I'm not invincible, so I'm just sharing it. When the day comes, we'll have to see each other's abilities." In the air, experts were discussing. The other people in the city were watching the show. It was happening again. It had to happen every 10 years. Su Yu didn't care about this. What he cared about was the situation on the human side. If the War God Hall alone took up the quota, what about the Quest Realm? The human race was splitting up in the heavenly battlefield. Su Yu was speechless. Forget it, he couldn't be bothered about this. However, he felt like he was being laughed at. The War God Hall, the Quest Realm, the two holy lands of the human race. The immortals, gods, and demons could be unified at this moment, but the human race had to split up. And from the looks of it, no one said anything was wrong. Obviously, this might not be the first time they were counted separately. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1811. 1811 Chapter 406 Fishing Subscription, 2. The internal strife has reached the celestial battlefield. Su Yu cursed in his heart, ridiculing, embarrassing himself. In fact, he still had a little bit of anticipation in his heart, but it was just a smokescreen. In reality, the two great holy lands were only trying to confuse their opponents. But after thinking about it, forget it, screw you. It might really be too much of a mess. The Starry Manor had yet to open, but the human race's aura had already weakened a little. Not only that, as soon as they entered the city, under everyone's watchful eyes, a scene of the human race's disunity was played out. In any case, Su Yu was very speechless. He didn't know what Invincible was thinking. He only knew that there really was a problem on the human side, a very serious problem. It was so serious that the human race was also the overlord of the East. They were invincible, but in the end, they were allocated fewer spots than the other powerful races. Not only that, no one dared to refute the words of the gods and demons. Even the words of the human race were like bargaining, losing face. No matter how much Su Yu hated the humans, when he arrived at the heavenly battlefield, he saw the existence of 10,000 races and the desolation of the small races. He was still a little proud of how powerful the humans were. Look, we humans are very strong. We are undefeatable. The overlords of the East. But now, he suddenly felt like he had been beaten back to his original state. He was thinking too much. The humans were inferior to the other powerful races. Even the gods and demons were superior to you, and the dragons dared to challenge you. Normally, they would clamor about the gods and fiend celestials. In reality, the gods and fiend celestials were first class, the ancient human dragon race was second class, the top 100 were third class, and they were inferior to the top 100 and were not even third class. The human race was just a second-class race. There was still a sense of difference. Suyu felt somewhat disappointed and depressed. In the human realm, he was actually quite excited from what he had heard. For example, the great Xia Palace had killed the gods and fiend celestials until they were pissing their pants, the great Qin Palace had killed fairy immortals, and the various large manors had suppressed all the races. However, when he really arrived here, he realized that they weren't that powerful. The gods, demons, and immortals only didn't want to have a falling out with the human race so that they wouldn't suffer too great of a loss. In reality, they still felt that they were superior to others. They were just waiting for an opportunity. However, the human race was seeking survival. For example, if these races wanted to kill Suyu, the human race wouldn't stand out. This was because they wanted to kill everyone, and the powerful races wanted to kill them. Therefore, there was nothing to say. However, would the invincible human race try to kill Madhwa? The demon race would definitely erupt. Even if he died in the genius battle, would the invincible human race try to kill him? This was the tyranny of the demon race. The immortal race and the immortal race were almost the same. Even the dragon race had more face than the human race because the dragon race also protected their shortcomings, but the human race couldn't. At this moment, Suyu was somewhat depressed and somewhat empty. He had heard with his own ears that the human race expert had spoken on behalf of the War God Hall. Even though he had been refuted by the powerful races, he did not dare to fight back. He was still very disappointed. Of course, he knew that the human race was not as strong as them. Under the premise that they were not as strong as them, there were also some internal conflicts and divisions. They deserved to be bullied. Suyu cursed in his heart. They deserved it. Not only that, there was also an invincible traitor. They deserved to lose face in the myriad races. Just as Suyu was thinking about this. In the city, in a high-rise building, the first floor was reserved. Zhu Guangxin drank his tea and said with a smile, "Who was that from the War God Hall?" Aning quickly said, "Jean Shirley from the War God Hall. The one from the Great Gold Mansion." "Yes." Nodding slightly, Zhu Guangxin sighed and said with a smile, "This guy is really soft-tempered." Fortunately, it wasn't Xiao Longwu and Qin Zhen who came. Otherwise, they would have fought just now. The general of the Heavenly Dao army said calmly, "It's not that he's soft. He doesn't have the strength of those two. Moreover, the attitude of the Seeker realm hasn't been clear recently. This time, the Seeker realm simply didn't send anyone." "Me?" Zhu Guangxin said with a smile, "One of the 9 clan leaders of the Seeker realm, why didn't they send anyone?" The few of them were stunned. Zhu Guangxin smiled and ignored them. At this moment, when the voices on the other side had stopped, he opened his mouth and spoke in a loud voice. He smiled and said, "Human civilization masters, split 200 spots for those in the quest realm. Don't refuse, don't talk about me, I don't care. What the great Zhou King and the others want, go and argue with the great Zhou King." After saying this, he did not care anymore. "It had nothing to do with me." Aning looked at him in surprise. "Your Highness, if the quest realm asked you to fight for this spot, why didn't the others come?" "I'm just saying." Zhu Guangxin said nonchalantly, "Even if these words reach the ears of the great Zhou King, so what? If the Seeker realm doesn't want a spot, do you think the War God Hall will give it to them? I said I want 200. Does the great Zhou King think that's too many? Besides, it's hard to say if we can get so many. I'm just saying. What's there to be afraid of?" He smiled and smiled foolishly. "I'm just saying. Losing doesn't mean losing. As for the great Zhou king and the others, they would know then. He was one of the 9 great clan heads, and the other people in the quest realm didn't come. Since I'm here, then I'll make a statement and ask for 200 spots. Who would say no? Not afraid of being spurned by civilized masters. And at this moment, Suyu also heard this voice. He was slightly surprised. This voice was somewhat familiar. He had met Zhu Guangshan before. At this moment, he suddenly thought of who it was. In his surprise, he suddenly exhaled and felt somewhat comfortable. Fortunately, someone from Daming Manor had actually come. Zhu Tiandao's eldest son had come. The representative of the exploration realm had asked for 200 slots. Even though it wasn't as good as the other clans, it still added up to 600 slots. It was another matter whether he could get it or not. He had fought for some face, but he was unable to say that the entire eastern region belonged to the human race. The others could not refute the overbearing words. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1812. 1812 Chapter 406 Fishing 3. He didn't have enough confidence. The person from the War God Shrine had said it, but in the end, he had been slapped in the face. This made Suyu feel helpless and embarrassed. The other small clansmen around Suyu didn't care about this and started discussing. This is round again. Sigh, the small clans are too difficult. It looks like we can only fight for the remaining portals and the special passages. They've already decided so early this year. There's no hope at all. Isn't it the same every time? It's fine. When the time comes, the various clans will force the human race to give up some of their spots. If the human race can't get 600 spots, then getting 300 to 400 is already not bad. Don't forget, there are still the dragon race, the ancient race, and the various top 100 clans. It's still difficult. All of them were discussing. At this moment, Suyu heard someone say, I heard that there's a high chance of entering the ancient city token through a special passageway. I wonder if there's an ancient city token for sale. How much is it? There is indeed an ancient city token, but the price is too high. The more time passes, the harder it is to get an ancient city token. Ancient city token? Suyu's eyes lit up. I have it. Not only do I have it, I have a lot of it as well. Of course, there isn't anything good about it. The best ancient city token that can enter the 16th ring isn't anything good. Lu Laoshi seems to have gotten a few of the better ones and escaped. He killed a large number of sun and moon souls and took away some of the better ancient city tokens, so you didn't ask about it. The ancient city token can actually allow one to enter a special passageway. Could it be that the ancient city token's purpose was to allow people to pass through special passageways? Suyu didn't know much about this, so he could ask around later. From the looks of it, there were quite a few people who knew, which was normal. After all, 9-Star City came once every 10 years. To many people, 10 years was just a snap of the fingers. Some experts might have been here for the last 10 years, but they hadn't left yet. Zhu Guangshan is here. Suyu didn't care about that anymore. Instead, he thought of this person. Wasn't this person at the discovery boundary? Why was he here this time? Was it because of the Starry Sky Mansion, or was it related to him? Could it be that he still wanted to save him? It was useless. The human race didn't have enough invincibility to stand out and intimidate everyone. What was the point of relying on the Daming Mansion alone? Could it be that the Daming King wanted to stand out? It was useless. What could one invincibility represent? Suyu sighed in his heart. He had remembered the favor from the Daming Manor. It was fine if Zhu Guangshan did not come for him, but if he did, he should leave as soon as possible. There was no need to drag the Daming Manor into this. If he really wanted to beg someone, Suyu had left with an Ing and the others last time. He did not leave because he did not want to implicate others. Su Yu was very realistic, but deep down, he still had a small sense of loyalty. You treat me well, I treat you well. If you treat me badly, I treat you even worse. Don't delay my plan. He did not care about this anymore. He wanted to buy 2 lists first and then find an opportunity to capture Tendo. The plan had to be carried out. As for the rest, what about the human race being weak or not weak, whether the crisis was big or not, internal strife or not, did it have anything to do with me? Up until now, on the human side, other than the Daming Prefecture, no one seemed to have stood up for him. Oh, there was also a person from the Great Xia Prefecture, and the head of the Jing Prefecture was here. Daming, Great Xia, on the Great Qin Prefecture's side, they did not know what it meant. As for the other prefectures, they were invincible. In any case, Su Yu did not feel any preferential treatment, nor did he have any intention of protecting himself. He did not need it either. If I have the ability, at most, I can return 10 times the amount of people who helped me today. The others have nothing to do with me. Su Yu did not think about anyone else. Even if the human race was really exterminated, he could just find a small world and run away with his father and teacher. The myriad realms were so big, he could just find a small world to hide in. With some stubbornness, Su Yu did not bother about it anymore. In any case, the current human race, Su Yu's attitude toward them was not much different from the myriad races. He was no longer that hot-blooded youth. He was disappointed time and time again. Especially when Zhu Tiandao told him that the human race did not lack some multi-divine literature department civilized masters. Su Yu knew that even if he thought that he was very important, in reality, he was not even worth a fart. Walking into the heaven-hunting pavilion, Su Yu was very straightforward. He directly said, "A Dao verification board. 100 drops of Yuan Qi liquid. Damn it, a trap." The heaven-hunting pavilion was a god trap. Sooner or later, he would take back everything that had been set up by all of them. Without any nonsense, Su Yu did not take all of the Yuan Qi liquid. He also took some corpses that were floating in the air and some randomly gathered materials. He had gathered enough Yuan Qi liquid for 100 drops. I'm poor. Very quickly, Su Yu received a list. It was the kind that was made crudely. Dao Evaluation Board. The name was impressive, but the materials made were too trashy. It was not worthy of this list. The title page gave a brief introduction of the situation. There were too many experts among the myriad clans in the heavens. It only represented the words of one family. The list might not have all the experts. Some experts lived in small worlds, and the rankings were only for reference. Through some simple records of their actions, as well as the fact that they might have entered the heaven-hunting list back then, they gave a simple possibility of attaining Dao. The higher the ranking, the higher the probability of attaining Dao, and the stronger they were. First, Heaven Curse, Heaven Abyss Clan. Second, Long River, Fated Clan. Third, Kong Kong, Space Ancient Beast Clan. Fourth, September, Iron-Eating Ancient Clan. Fifth, Xia Longwu, Human Race. Su Yu was extremely surprised. It was very simple information, and there wasn't much introduction. It was just a name and a race. Xia Longwu was ranked 5th. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1813. 1813 Chapter 406 Fishing for. The first few were not the gods or devils Su Yu had imagined. Instead, there were a few aboriginals. Surprisingly, there was also an ancient Iron Eater. Su Yu was not too surprised that Xia Longwu was not ranked first. However, the first few were all about to attain the Dao. Also, the Heavenly Abyss clan actually had an expert who was about to attain the Dao. Moreover, he was ranked first. Did this mean that he was quasi-invincible? He continued reading, and the list was ranked 100th. He saw another familiar name. Zhou Polong, human, ranked 97th. Following that, he was also familiar with the last name. Qin Zhen, human, ranked 100th. There were a total of 100 names on the list, and 3 humans were ranked. The highest was Xia Longgu, ranked 5th. The other 2 were extremely low. As for the other 97, there weren't many immortals or fiend celestials. However, there were quite a few experts from small clans. There were also some experts from the ancient clans. Su Yu sank into deep thought. After a long while, he understood and sighed. He somewhat understood. It was very likely that this myriad treasures building was created by the immortals and fiend celestials themselves. It was possible that none of their clans wanted to attain the Tao. The few humans listed were also known to want to attain the Tao. As for Zhu Tiandao, sure enough, he consoled himself that old Zhu was not on the list. Perhaps if he were to rank 900 more and reach 1000, he might be able to see old Zhu. He was not on the list. Even Su Yu felt that Xia Longwu was ranked 5th. It was possible that he had done it on purpose. He wanted to trick and kill Xia Longwu. Also, it was not necessarily a good thing that the Heavenly Abyss clan's heavenly curse was ranked 1st. In addition, Gu Shan, who had previously ridden on a giant eagle, was really on the list. He was ranked very low as well. However, he had become a neighbor of Qin Town. He was ranked 99th. In that case, Gu Shan riding on the 3-layered giant eagle of the sun and moon was considered bad. The second-generation mount of the Great Xia Mansion had the power of the sun and moon, and it was from the Dragon Clan. This Gu Shan did not have any ranking. This thing was just for fun. When they arrived at the Heavenly Treasures building, Su Yu spent all the miscellaneous items on his body and gave out some miscellaneous items. He bought the latest heaven hunting list. As expected, there were some changes to the list again. The top 3 of the heaven hunting list did not change, but Dao Cheng had fallen. Mingyu of the Netherworld race had killed her way to 4th place, Xian Wuji was 5th place, and Dao Cheng had fallen to 6th place. From the looks of it, if he did not have any battle results in a short period of time, he would probably fall again. As for the floating earth spirit, she had entered 5th place on the earth list. To Su Yu's surprise, the 1st place on the yellow list was actually Wulan. Forget it. Su Yu actually saw another name. It was terrifyingly low-key. It was Lu Hong, ranked 359th on the yellow list. In a daze. Lu Hong. He had the same name. Or was it really Lu Hong from the Great Xia Manor? Stop fooling around. This fellow could make it onto the roll. This was the Heaven's Myriad Clan's roll. Su Yu was an Earth Armament Master, so he could barely make it onto the 360th place. How could he, Lu Hong, be able to make it onto the Heaven Hunting roll? Battle record, killed a 5th level Ling Yun. Stop fooling around. Lu Hong was only at 2nd level Ling Yun. How could he kill someone 3 levels above him? Lu Hong's age was actually not that old. He was exactly 30, or was he 29? Su Yu had forgotten. At this age, killing someone 3 levels above him did indeed have a chance of entering the rankings. However, if he was a little older, there was no hope. Lu Hong. Su Yu took a look. He was from the Great Xia Mansion. The Great Xia Mansion had the same name and surname. No way. Then it was very likely that he was the Lu Hong that he had imagined. Damn, when I left, that guy was bluffing and swindling, how could he be on the list now? I didn't see him last time. It meant that he was only on the list recently. That guy also came to the heavenly battlefield. Could it be, the swindle was discovered by someone and he was chased here? Su Yu was seriously suspicious. Because Lu Hong wasn't the type of person who took risks. That guy Su Yu saw that he was overly cautious. He didn't know where he got the courage from last time, but he actually went to swindle the invincible descendant. In addition, there was another genius who made the list. Third on the profound board, Shan Xiong. First level Ling Yun, battle record, 7th level Ling Yun. Shan Xiong had been on the list before, but he was only on the yellow board. This meant that Shan Xiong had also come recently, and he had even killed his way to third on the profound board. This person was not old either. Battle records did not mean anything. Battle records could be faked or hidden. Giving him third on the profound board meant that this person was also very powerful and had many levels. All of you are here. Su Yu chuckled. There were quite a number of humans on the list. Of the 630 slots, there were more than 20 on the human side. Close to 30 geniuses were on the list, which wasn't too low. However, it was still a little lacking compared to the deities and demons. It was good that they were all here. The next step is to capture him. Su Yu made up his mind. Regardless of them, he would first investigate Tendo's whereabouts. Find Tendo and capture him. Then, I'll bring people to explore and kill. No, I don't need to explore. I'll find a place with people. I'll just break the space on purpose. It's normal for a few of them to escape. It's not normal for me to bring people to explore. He corrected his plan again and again. Su Yu started to walk into the city. He was familiar with Tendo after activating the induction jade. He could search for him based on the induction jade. This was a modified function of Hu Qi. Different people had different light spots. Perhaps he could find Tendo directly. He was currently staying at the Devil's Embassy. Devil's Embassy. Tendo had just returned. In the past few days, he had been constantly fighting with people. For example, that fellow Huang Teng. In the end, that fellow had wanted to provoke the Blood Fire Devils. Now, he was being pursued by the Blood Fire Devils. He had also looked for Qin Fang. In the end, he was not as good as Qin Fang. His arm had been pierced by a spear. Fortunately, he had run fast. Otherwise, he might have died at Qin Fang's hands. Qin Fang, who had stepped into the 7th level of Lingyun realm, was much stronger than before. After his vitality had transformed once again, this fellow was even more powerful than before.